I just went black. Okay, there we go. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Long time no see. Yeah, it was only a short.
Yeah, you're freezing up, brother. How y'all like that
Yeah,
smile
that
that Ghost has
goes.
got? Oh, there he goes. You were froze up, brother.
Yeah, I happened twice. I don't know what's going on here. Let's see who all's in the chat. We got Michigan Outpost, Red Tyrant, Tamara Reynolds, Miguel Hoot. What's going on, Hoot? We got the Milkmaid. We got Tamara Reynolds. Let's see who else we got here. Survival Julia. Hello. We got. Let's see here. Hey, Backwoods is here. Angela B in North Carolina. Hello, Angela.
And I'm going to say hello to everybody that he just said hello to. Everybody out in the chat. I see all of y'all.
Welcome. Desert Tales Living. How are you doing? John T. McGill, SAZ20, Mad Max. Wow.
Mad Max is one of my local homeboys.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I met him in person. He's a good dude.
You're rude.
Virginia.
Angry operator, what's going on? Moon. On the homestead here, getting real big. Debbie Sims, welcome. Everything's going good. The garden, I have a disaster to tell y'all about. I'm gonna video it tomorrow. For some reason, and I don't know if it was the excess moisture or what, but for some reason, this morning when I went outside, all my hydroponic tomatoes just looked like crap. And I know they got fluid because I swapped it out about a week ago. And today they just looked really, really rough. And then this afternoon when I went out, or this evening when I went out and fed the rabbits and watered the rabbits and come back up, one of the hydroponic tomato plants is the fruit that was on it is just covered in mold. It's just got this white all over it. And the bushes look terrible. So I am going to get those out of the line, out of the system, and I'm just going to keep pushing forward with the 3 tomatoes that are in the soil because they're doing better anyway. And the tomatoes, for some reason, they just, I don't know if they got hit with a bug or what, but they just went south quick. So I don't know why. I'll do some research and try to figure that out for round 2. But I've still got 3 plants that are got some, man, that one Big Zach, dude. That tomato right now is the size of, it's every bit as big as a softball.
Wow.
Yeah, it's getting big.
Hey, Moonchild.
Patrice, hey, I said, how about you? What'd you get done today?
I got a nap.
Hey, nice.
I contacted a guy, start my big route, my yards. Or my properties I have. I start my commercial route tomorrow, and I pay a guy to help me with the 2 big properties. I mean, with 2 of us on big mowers and weed eating and everything, it still takes us 5 hours just to do them 2 properties because they're huge. And so he was like, yeah, I can come, but I've got a little helper now, and he asked for a little bit more money, but it's not much. It's only $25 more. But I'm thinking, man, if we had that guy weed eating while we're cutting, that we'll be able to knock them hours off there pretty good. So I told him I agreed to it, so I've got that set up, and so I can get them properties knocked out, and that's about it, really, man.
How seasonal is that going to be out there? I know y'all get a pretty good winter from when I lived out there.
Well, I have cut grass all the way up until the week before deer season.
Okay.
November.
So you'll kind of be like a school teacher. You'll get a couple months off,
right,
in the year to rest, and then
that's that's why I bought that bagger system for my mower. It's like belt driven, you know. It's like a sure enough. It was $1,500. It's a badass bagger, and I bought it so I can do leaf removal. And I've already hit the guy up that I'm doing these commercial properties, because a lot of them properties are out in the woods, you know, and
Yeah.
they a lot of leaves, and you know, so I've already hit him up about that, and he said he's highly considering going ahead and letting me do a wintertime schedule, you know, just like a once a month at a discounted rate, you know, of just going and hitting. Hey, Hutch, what's up, brother? You know,
What's going
so
on,
yeah,
Hutch?
kind of one of them deals. But that's I pretty much ain't. Be honest with you, I ain't about. I fed my chickens, you know, made sure they had some good fresh water. But that's
Yeah.
about it. Man, I've been kind of lazy today.
Gosh, you waiting on some rabbit furs to cover that dome. I'm just
Oh
trying
my.
to look smart, man. I got to follow my logo. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, so sounds like we both had some exciting stuff today.
Yeah.
Well, we got about 50 people in here. Hey, there's Susanna. We got the Cannibals here.
Hey, Susanna.
Yeah, it looks like right now, as of I don't know, an hour ago when I checked, Sloppy Joe is still in the lead, and Meatballs are in a close no. Sloppy Joe's in the lead. Brats or smoked sausages in second place. Meatballs is in third. So
I
it's
actually went on there. Oh, you're
huh?
breaking up. I actually went on there and voted for the
I said
Sloppy Joes.
whatever. I don't know why in the hell I'm breaking up, man. I've got good signal here. Hmm.
Hmm.
You know what? I think it might be because my phone is on Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Let me pull up my laptop camera. I'll drop off on my phone and put it, not get it off of Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Let me see.
And Milkmaid, by the way, trolling
I don't
barefoot
even think I
hillbilly.
can.
Let me just explain something. I'm still barefooted. I'm always barefooted, unless I'm cutting grass. Then I don't want to get my toesies chopped off. So other than that, I'm barefooted, man. What's wrong with the barefooted hillbillies? Jeez, Milkmaid, you need to leave folks alone. that
All right, is that better?
looks, yeah, that actually looks a lot more clear.
Cool. Yeah, my phone was on Wi-Fi. I had to take it off. All right, we got 60 people in here. I guess we can kick the show off, huh?
Okay,
Page the
yeah.
news.
So the scenario that I've been thinking about over the last couple of days, I actually didn't write anything down or actually do a lot of research, because it's really a life a real life thing that are going to be that is coming up for me. And with, you know, with all the stuff going on today, you know, I mean, a lot of us think that, oh, we've still got a little bit of time before, you know, some bad things happen. But you know how things are, man. I mean, things could change tomorrow, you know, things could change later on this evening, you know. I mean, we just, you know, we never know. So what my scenario is, so, you know, I'm going on this thing on the 21st. We're going to a camp out, you know, FTX. We're going to be there the whole weekend, unless which we're not going to be, you know, near the house. We're going to be back off in the property. There's not a lot of phone service. There is some. So there's going to be, right now at this time, I know for sure about 6 or 7 guys. And this is the scenario. So we're out there. We've got our little gear, you know, stuff, and we're camping out and, you know, doing the little training deal. The EMS goes off on our phone and says that there is a airborne contagious disease that has started wiping folks out what, you know, and, you know, you must shelter in place immediately. Okay, now I understand this is probably about a 3.5 to 4 hour drive for me, and I mean it's out in the middle of nowhere. And so the so there's, you know, 6 or 7 of us there, and we get this alert system. What do we do? What would be some smart things to do with that's the alert system we got, and a airborne deadly disease has hit. You know, now we won't have our families there. I mean, it's just us guys, you know, hanging out. And we all live, every single one of us live probably, like I've got one that lives, you know, probably 10 minutes from me, but the rest of them live like an hour and a half north of me, and one lives this way of me, you know. So it's not like we all live in the same direction, you know, or same area, you know what I mean? So we're kind of stationed all over the state, I guess you can say.
Right.
So it's a deadly airborne disease, and we're down there in the middle of nowhere. Now you have to understand that I would imagine at that point, you know, that's what we got to deal with. What would be your thoughts on that? What would be?
Well, if I didn't have family close enough to be able to get to within an hour or so, and it was pretty much just me, you know, and the boys, I would stay right where I'm at, because being an airborne contagion, and you're out in the middle of the wilderness, especially the woods with tree cover, a lot of that's going to dissipate even if it reaches out there. So if you don't have a reason to move, don't move. You know, try to find you a cave. Definitely put up a tent and put layers on the top of that tent and the opening, a bunch of leaves, grass, dirt, whatever you can find. Almost like building a water filter. It actually kind of works the same principle for air as well. If you don't have a gas mask of some type, definitely breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. There's a reason why you have all those little hairs in your nose. Those are pre-filters for your lungs. Always breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And I do it now. I have been doing it for the last year and a half with the situation that we're in there. Even though you're wearing your face protection, I still always breathe in through my nose and out through your mouth. That's a very good filter. And another thing you can also do is shove cotton balls in your nose. Take a cotton ball, break it in half, and put it in your nose. It's gonna drastically make you have to. It's actually good for your lungs. You're really working your lungs out to get a good breath. It's good exercise, believe it or not. But it's an extra filter you can put in there. And they actually even make nose filters that you can wear. But if it was just me, that's what I'd do. I'd shelter in place and wait for some more information. Now, if it's me and I have a family close by that I need to get to, and I do have some kind of face protection, because if I'm on an actual real FTX, I'm probably bringing whatever chemical biological gear I have, which is first thing you're going to get, other than the gloves and your boots, is going to be your gas mask. So I would definitely strap up, hop in the car, and make a beeline to the house. If I didn't have a mask and my priority was to get home, now there are a couple things you got to consider. Did your family get the same message you did? Are they sheltering in place? If they're sheltering in place and they're in their house and they are your family members, which means they are more than likely prepped as well, then they have all the same stuff that you have. So by you know, hauling ass across the country, or, you know, across the woods to get home, you know, they're going to have to break seal of that house to let you in, which means you just put them at risk. If this is legit airborne and they've, you know, taped up the doors and done what they're supposed to do. So best case scenario, if you do have family, you got two choices: shelter in place and trust that they know what they're doing and you're getting correct information, and get home as quickly as you can. Or two, go ahead and head home, but head home with the plans of not going in the house. Just head home and make sure they're safe, and set up shop in your front yard, in your garage, you know, whatever you got to do, because you've been exposed, if it is what they say it is. But yeah, that would be my main thing is if you absolutely have to go home to check and you don't have any conversation, if the phones aren't working and you're not getting any intel and you have to get there, then yeah, you obviously have to get there. But once you get there, you need to realize what the threat is. If it is airborne, you don't want to break seal of the house and you don't want to put them in jeopardy. So that would be my main issue. Okay. If I didn't contact, if the phones are working and you can still talk to each other, then yeah, the plans would probably change a little bit. Maybe the rate of travel would change a little bit. Maybe I would try to, find an Army Navy surplus store on the way home and get me some extra chemical gear. Maybe I would try to get some more intel if the radios and phones are working, obviously. But if they're not, if it's complete and there's just, for some reason they shut the grid down as well, then it's going to be, it's boots on the ground. You're going to have to see it with your own eyes.
Well, yeah, and I thought about this, off and on over the last day or two, and thinking about the fact of, I'm there with a group of guys who, there's a couple of them that are a little more trained than I am, and there's a couple of them who ain't quite as trained as I am, and there's a couple of them that are probably, within my equal range, you know what I'm saying? And I thought about it, different things of, of maybe trying to, as a group, creep into each one of the households, but the airborne, my initial thought also was that, where exactly did this break out at? Is this something that broke out in DC and they're just saying, hey, there's a deadly airborne disease, folks are dropping on the streets, you need to shelter in place, just as a precaution, the info would be my biggest thing. I mean, knowing that info, getting that intel, man.
You're going to get some good quality intel before you make a decision, because just saying that it's an airborne disease, well, being airborne and being contagious are two totally separate things. I mean, how is it contagious? Does it have to travel through bodily fluid? If it does, get in the car and go home. Just close your mouth and make it happen. If it's skin contact, there's several different ways you can transmit it. So it's going to depend, and not knowing how it's transmissible is going to really throw a monkey wrench in your plans, depending on what kind of gear you have.
Yeah, that's the one thing. That's the one thing that I'm thinking about too, is driving in your vehicle. What about roadblocks and stuff? Is because I'm gonna say probably something like that. They're probably going to be set up roadblocks. With some of these guys with some, the National Guard and such with their with their chemical suits and stuff on. But it would seem like to me almost that one hand, I would be like, man, them would probably be the guys to go talk to. But on the other hand, it's like, man, what if they're gonna hem you up, because they don't know if you got the disease or not. Maybe it's not reacting to you quite as much like as it is someone else.
Yeah, and I mean, it's good to see a roadblock just to see what kind of equipment they're wearing, because that's going to key you into what you got to worry about. But as far as actually pulling up to the roadblock and rolling down your window and saying, hey, what's up? No, I definitely wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not that. Yeah, somebody put a comment that said it's hard to breathe through cotton balls. Yes, it is. That's kind of the point. But also, you don't want to just shove a whole cotton ball up there. You don't want to pack it into your nose. You want it to be loose enough to let the air flow through it. So what you do is, like, one cotton ball would probably be good enough for 2 or 3 people.
That's there you go. Survival Julia says, this just made me realize my next purchase is going to have to be a gas mask. Been low on priority because of food. House pretty sealed, but good scenario. Well, that's, when all this stuff that's happening in today's society, as we live our daily lives, it seems like every time we turn around, there's something new. There's something new. There's a new this, there's new that, and somebody had actually said something I can find it real quick, earlier in the chat a little bit, and it was something about, let's see, I'm trying to find it real quick.
I'm looking. If you tell me what it says.
It had to do with something about the stuff going on, and them saying this and saying that, and then the next thing you know, it's going to be something for real or something deadly.
Yeah.
That's right. Boy, where'd that go? I caught just a piece of it.
I'm looking. I don't see it.
But I think basically what it is that, if you're, with all the stuff that they're releasing out and everything, it seems like to me that, okay, it would have to be past this.
Media and alert systems tend to overreact. Look for immediate, verifiable information. You are very correct. That's the difference between information and intel. Information is just noise coming out of somebody's mouth when the lips are moving. Intel is independently verifiable, which is very, very important.
Yeah, because and seeing that's the whole thing, is that I've been kind of running that through my head for a little while about, all this stuff that they keep saying. Sometimes I wonder if it's almost like they know it ain't nothing, but they keep telling us it is. And okay. Oh, okay. It was Jeremy Sullivan said, you go back home and get ready and protect your family, because it's probably BS with the history. Yeah, and that's the one I was talking about, because it's just basically, it's the things of the way they've been doing this stuff. The reason I brought that up was because it seems to be that one of them deals of, they keep throwing this stuff at us, and they keep throwing this stuff at us. And I think that we need to not get too comfortable. Because we tend to, I mean, if you see, there's a lot of people in the chat even saying, I don't, they tend to overreact, they, a lot of this is BS.
A lot of the stuff, it turns out to be false. Lots
Right.
of times you got to go through the motions, and you get to feel like you're reading that book, the little boy that cried wolf. But here's the thing. At the end of the book, there actually was a wolf. That's the point. Right. Just because, they're always crying wolf, it doesn't mean that there isn't really a wolf out there somewhere. So yeah, it's frustrating to get incorrect information and to get intel that does not play out. And maybe you feel like a fool or a jackass, but what happens that next time when you get identical information and you're going, yeah, I've been through this, it's all horse shit, don't worry about it, but it's not, then you get kicked in the gooey bag, and that's going to suck, so it's what you got to do, man. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You got to, that's all part of being prepared.
Well, that's the whole thing of, part of me saying that particular scenario was, I want to bring I want to bring recognition to the point of, don't lull yourself to sleep. Don't, enemies have a lot of very vengeful ways that, it's all to trick you into making a mistake. And I'm against the whole face thing and stuff. I just don't wear them, yada yada, things like that. But never make the mistake of getting too comfortable.
Yeah.
With this whole thing of, because they, most of this has kind of been, I mean, you know, stuff is real, stuff is really happening, but most of it's kind of been it's really not as bad as what we get normally every year, you know, kind of thing. But then again, at the same time, when does that real wolf actually show up?
Yep. Sandra
You know,
Weber's doing here. It says she's starting a new job, which is 24 miles each way. Suggestions: she's in the Houston area, Galveston side. First, number one suggestion: always keep your car full of gas.
yes.
Number two, if you don't have a bug out bag or get home bag, you need to make one or purchase one and get it in the car as quick as possible. And it always stays in the car, or it always stays with you at all times. But also in a vehicle like that, I remember when I was in the military, I was driving from North Carolina to upstate New York, almost on the Canadian border when I was at Fort Drum, you know, during the winter. And I mean, they have some brutal winters up there. I always had at least 4 or 5 MREs, a couple of ponchos, a poncho liner, you know, flashlights, things like that in my truck, just in case I broke down, which I did on 2 separate occasions. Broke down in the middle of the winter time, several feet of snow on the ground. It was sub-zero temperatures, you know, and I broke down, but because I had food, I had water, I had a means to keep myself warm, I was fine. It sucked for a day and a half, but I was fine. In your situation, 24 miles isn't that far. I mean, most people in average health can do 24 miles, you know, within a couple days on foot. If you're in really good health, you know, when I was a little bit younger, I could do 24 miles in a day with, you know, time left over. But in a grid down type situation, if something happens and say there's an EMP and none of the vehicles working, you got to walk, you're probably going to be walking off road to stay away from people. So that 24-mile hike could turn into 4 days pretty quickly and pretty easily. So yeah, your main priority is going to keep your vehicle full of gas, and if something starts looking weird, break the speed limit, you know, and get home as quick as possible, or get where you got to get as quick as possible. But don't ever let the car get below half a tank of gas.
Yeah, and Survival Julia says also it would be good in this scenario once you were able to move closer to communication to share with others in your community and to verify a situation before you act. Yeah, true, exactly. You know, once you're, you know, the bad thing about it is you're only getting, you know, the emergency broadcast system. You know, that's the only intel you got at that time. You know, and like I said, there's not much service where we're at, and you know, I didn't really specify, you know, that the service, you know, the cell phone went on to emergency mode. So like you can't really make calls or anything, and it's just, you know, basically like a left open for emergency broadcast.
Yeah.
You know, because they actually can do that to your phone.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on like in your situation, you're on an FTX, a field training exercise. For people that don't know what FTX means, it means a field training exercise. If you're on a legit FTX, you guys probably have some kind of breathing apparatus with you, because that's pretty much part of your standard gear. So you're going to have a lot more options than somebody that just happened to be out there camping and fishing. You know what I mean? Your options are going to be, you have several more options. You're able to be mobile. You're able to mask up, and you're able to go out and gather intel, not information, but actual physical, I've seen it with my own eyes, intelligence that you can use to make, you know, decisions that are correct instead of just reacting. You know, you can take a minute, you can sit down, and you can make sure that you're taking a step in the right direction, not just running off into the middle of nowhere. You know, and that, which is going to, you know, slow is fast. Okay. Slow is fast. Slow always wins the race. Slow and deliberate is the way to do it. Take your time, gather as much intel as you can. And, you know, nothing's crazy is going to happen at home within the first, you know, few hours, you know, if it hasn't already happened, you know, so you freaking out and acting like a maniac isn't going to help that situation at all. You know, gather your intel, decide, making a conscious, educated decision. If it's you and several other guys and all of you live, you know, within a few miles of each other, you know what, go in groups, go from house to house. You know, y'all secure your place, make sure it's good, then go secure the next guys, and then the next guys. It is what it is. Well, you know, just make sense to do that.
Well, the one thing that I've noticed nobody has mentioned and everything, and that was one of my thought process was I'm figuring if they make an emergency broadcast like that, I'm figuring martial law is probably going into place.
Possible, very possible. But then, you know, the thing is, yeah, I would definitely say that there would definitely be some boots on the ground, whether that be National Guard or active duty. But you know, it'll take days. You know, people think that the governor just picks up the phone and it's like the bat signal, and all of a sudden there's all these your neighbors are in their camouflage and they're, you know, at the stop sign doing checkpoints. It takes several hours, you know, to get all your assets in one place, get them geared up, get them the correct kind of gear, and send them on mission. So it takes, you know, if that's the case, if it goes straight, if there's troops on the ground as soon as the EVS goes off, then it was a setup. They knew it was coming, and they had time to mobilize the guard. So usually in a situation like that, the EVS would go off first, and then it would be a little bit of confusion, and then it would be within, I would say in most states that have a decent population and a few decent sized cities, you're going to be able to mobilize a significant amount of your guard force within 12 to 18 hours.
Sorry about this. I have to take care of some business for just a second here.
No problem.
Continue. I'm sorry about this. You know, I don't normally do this, but this is give me just a minute here.
Yeah. The another thing too, you know, when I was in the military, a lot of the your shock troops, so to speak, your tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 guys. We're talking about, you know, your Green Berets, your Navy SEALs, your Army Rangers, on down into the 18th Airborne Corps, which is the 101st Airborne Division, 82nd Airborne, and 10th Mountain Division. Those are your quick reaction forces. And we have a thing in the military, it's called Deployment Ready Force, or DRF-1. And DRF-1, it's a rotating time slot that goes around from brigade to brigade or battalion to battalion. And what it is for, it could be a week at a time. It could be a month rotation. I believe ours was a 1 month rotation where we were on DRF-1. And what that means, that's Deployment Ready Force 1. If something happens anywhere in the world that needs combat troops, we can be on the ground within 18 hours. That's the mission as far as the military goes. So if something happens and troops had to be deployed starting right now, from right now, the horn goes off, my pager would go off, or my cell phone would ring. We would report back to the barracks. All our gear has already been packed and set up and ready, because we do that before we go onto DRF-1. So all we have to do is show up, gear up, load the plane, get our orders, and we're gone. And it literally, we could be anywhere in the world in 18 hours. And you guys have seen that happen firsthand. You've seen it happen when the war in Afghanistan kicked off. You've seen it happen in Panama with the 82nd Airborne. I mean, within 18 hours, they were there. So that's, but then now the active military can react to forces like that a lot quicker as far as getting massive troops on the ground. The National Guard can be just as quick because they're not having to travel that far. I mean, they report to your armory and you get your mission and you're there, you're gone. And they have follow-on forces. Maybe you can't get your entire company, you know, geared up at the armory at the same time. Maybe they're coming in, you know, 10, 15, 20, 30 troops at a time, and you've got this rotating force that can continually be built up. So there's a little bit of a transition. There's a little bit of difference in National Guard versus active duty. But when there's a mission on hand and when you're getting orders, troops can move rather quickly, a lot faster than you would think, as long as, you know, they're a little bit organized. Yeah, all Guard units, here we go. All Guard units have a selected group of active Guard personnel that live close by for immediate response, usually readiness, NCO, supply, pay clerk. Yep, you are correct. There is a small group that's very, very close and are always able to be contacted immediately, and they can react quick. It's like a QRF in combat. In combat, like say if we were running a patrol and we got ambushed, we would immediately hit the radio and we would call for QRF. The QRF is the quick reaction force that is always on alert, that's right behind the wire, ready to go. Trucks running, weapons, fuel, everything's ready, so they can be there quick. And that's kind of like the way that the National Guard works it, except it's designated something else.
Hang on, man.
Yeah, no more about a squad size element right away. All units in Army within 24 hours. Yep. And within 24 hours that's a large window. Most National Guard units, especially National Guard units that are used to being deployed, and I'm talking about units like, I'm not talking about wartime stuff. I'm talking about your coastal states like, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Texas, that deal with hurricanes on a yearly basis, for 6 to 8 months out of the year. Those guys, when it comes to getting geared up and getting ready and moving, the window is 24 hours, but I promise you, probably 90% of those units can make that happen in less than 12. They're used to doing it. It may be different, say a National Guard unit in Illinois or something like that isn't used to reacting to things like that are really quick and they're really time sensitive. The good thing about hurricane reactions, usually you have, days, if not weeks, to prepare ahead of time. So it's a little bit easier to respond. You're just waiting to see where the eye of the storm hits and where the damage is. For a national emergency like an airborne contagion that's unidentifiable, it's their mission basically is going to just to get out there and be seen, just because automatically when you see friendly troops on the ground, passing out MREs, making sure people have water, checking on things, it's a security factor. It makes the population feel better. If it's checkpoints and ass whippings on the side of the road, it does the exact opposite, but it is what it is.
I greatly apologize for brother. I had to, anyway, there's no sense in all that on here. So yeah, the thing I was, I don't know if you kind of went to a different subject there. I'm sorry.
I pretty much stayed with the National Guard troops on the ground. I explained the process of quick reaction forces and DRF, deployment ready force 1, things like that.
Yeah, some of the National Guard, a lot of these guys are local homeboys. That's what they are. And some of them you may know. And that might be something to, some of them obviously they, are not going to be. Some of them will not be able to answer. Maybe tell you big specifics, but if some of these National Guards, maybe get to know them well enough, or maybe they're friends enough that you can get their number or something, and maybe just say, hey, if something goes down, can you just say, hey, code red, or there was no more bread left on the shelf, some kind of a sentence or something that some of these National Guard can send you, and just be like, once you get that text, you're like, okay, it's going down, type thing.
Yeah. Hey, Stanley, what's going on?
What's up, Stanley?
You may be able to get some information from some of your National Guard soldiers. Unfortunately, they are held to the same standard as active duty when it comes to OPSEC, which is operational security, and they can be held in violation of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and they can be arrested and they can spend the rest of their lives in Leavenworth. Right. In some cases, they could be executed depending on the level of violation. So some, especially the younger troops that are going to be impressionable, are going to be absolutely petrified, scared of breaking that law, because let me tell you something, it's beat into our brains from day one of basic. That is something that you just don't talk about. I didn't even talk about it with my family. But what you can do is, especially if you live, your National Guard armories, they're usually in your cities. They're close to a railhead. By railhead, I mean railroad tracks, especially if it's a motor pool or if it's any kind of a transportation or an armor or an infantry unit. Their National Guard armory is usually within spitting distance of the railroad tracks. And all you have to do, here's the thing, when traffic picks up at the armory, when there are people there and it's not a drill weekend, and the parking lot's full and lights are on and people are moving, that's all you need to know. You don't need to ask any questions of anybody. You just know. Look, here's the thing. If a whole bunch of people show up in your yard wearing camouflage and they've got their orange vests on, they got their shotguns and it's dove season, well, you know they're fishing to go dove hunting. You don't need to go ask them what they're doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you see a lot of activity at the armory, that's all you need to know. Something's fixing to go down. It could be a drill. It could be, the whole the boy crying wolf thing. It could be, but then again, it could not. You know what I mean? But you're going to know pretty quick, especially if you're close to the armory.
Yeah.
You're going to see air traffic change. You're going to see a whole lot of civilian flights that are usually in the air, not in the air. You'll see a whole lot of unfamiliar aircraft in the air that are military. If it's really crazy, you'll start to hear what's called sonic booms, which are technically illegal over populated areas. And if you've never heard a fighter jet break the sound barrier a few hundred feet off the ground, you have never had the pucker factor like that. It is something freak. The first time I saw it and experienced it, it was crazy. And it is loud, and it's like a little mini earthquake. It's awesome.
We've actually had them here just within this year. There was a couple of them, man. And I mean, it was all over Facebook. People were freaking out because, dude, it was like.
Yeah, they don't do it in high populated areas because I mean, you're talking, it can shatter windows depending on the altitude. I mean, last time that it was done in combat type situations, to my knowledge, was 9/11. When jets were coming from Texas to New York.
They did it here, man. I'm telling you, this year.
I said a combat situation.
Oh, I got you.
It over people's houses and not caring.
Yeah, dude, it freaking, dude, it rattled the windows in my house. I was actually sitting in my shop one of the days, dude, and it rattled my doors. It rattled my whole shop, man. I was like, God dang, what was that? And I ran outside like, what the hell? And you could hear that jet, off in the distance, and you could actually see one of them when it turned. I was like, God dang, man, that's.
Yeah, I had it happen to me. The last time that I can distinctly remember was in Iraq, and he was probably a few thousand feet off the ground. But when he popped, and it wasn't even directly over me, when he popped, it was, man, I thought it was artillery coming in. I mean, it was something else. And I don't know if it was because he was really, really close to the ground, because it wasn't the first time I'd heard one, but I was just right. I was in the cone, so to speak, of influence. And when it popped, man, it was like, I thought my eardrums were going to be bleeding. It was something else.
Governor Bill Lee put some executive order in place for quarantine. Yeah, just with a lot of this talk, that's kind of why. And hey, Farmer Son's prepping, how's it going? Just with a lot of the stuff been going on, that's why I wanted to kind of bring that scenario up about an airborne disease, because it is easy to start to. The boy who cried wolf, and like you said, Ghost, at the end of the story, there's still a wolf there, and that was one of the reasons I kind of threw that in there as part of this scenario, because I wanted people to not get too comfortable, not to get too cocky in this, they're just feeding us full of lies. They're just lies. Well, sometimes there is nefarious reasons why they do things, and Ghost said it a while ago, slow is fast, and, sometimes they're doing this stuff at a, you notice they're just it's just kind of a slow process here. It seems like, I mean, everything seems like it's going really fast, but really and truly, it's been over the last year, it's year and a half, it's just, things have just been kind of progressing, it's just each day it seems like you wake up, there's a little something more to it, a little something more here, a little something more there. And I really want to, keep everybody aware and keep everybody really woke up that, look, don't ever just completely dismiss all this stuff. You know, you know, take it for what it's worth, and you know, whatever, but don't just always completely dismiss everything, because sometimes there's more nefarious things behind the scenes that they're just waiting. You know, they're just kind of, you know, they just kind of, you know, think about this. Before, you know, any of this, and Ghost, I'll, you know, cut me off if I need to, you know, just tell me, hope, you know, but you know, the LGBTQ
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I I've never had a problem with it. I don't really care. You know, we've talked about that, so I'm not talking bad about anything. But what I'm going at is, you know, back in the day when they wanted to first try to start introducing this, they had to do it slow. And um, if you think back to think back to when think back to when Three's Company came out. That's how they introduced it to start out. Jack Ripper, you know, whatever his name was, Jack, whatever, he was not really gay, but he pretended to be. And we all laughed at it because it was a funny TV show. You know what I'm saying? Everybody laughed at it. It was funny, you know, because he really wasn't. He just was pretending to be. And that's what I'm getting at, is that, you know, they start introducing these things a little at a time, a little slow at a time, and yeah, that's nothing, you know. Oh, that's funny. Oh, you know, that's the man, that ain't nothing. All of a sudden, bam, you get hit in the face like a ton of bricks, and you're like, whoa, what? Where did this come from, man? You know, and then it's sometimes it's too late. You know, so I wanted to bring this in because I have been seeing a lot of stuff over the last several days of a lot of people saying, man, I ain't believing none of this crap anymore. You know, I'm done with it. I ain't believing none of it. You know, it's all a lie. You know, well, just
Time we were kids, I mean, when you read that book, you know, The Boy That Cried Wolf, a lot of people think the moral of that story is not to trust anybody, or people lie. The moral of the story is it doesn't matter. I mean, you got to stay vigilant. The moral of the story is a whole bunch of those sheep got killed because those people didn't listen to that boy and he was telling the truth. Now, was he wrong for playing those jokes ahead of time? Yeah. But
yeah,
I mean, that happens to us on a daily. I mean, when you're watching mainstream media, it happens to us every single day, especially when you flip into these YouTube channels. There's people crying wolf every 10 or 15 seconds, you know, and people are taking it legit for real. But the thing is, it could very well happen tomorrow. You know, the stuff that you've been told over and over that we've always found out was bullshit. It didn't come true. Well, tomorrow it might come true. So the moral of the story is stay prepared. You know, if you're prepped, you're good. You know, be ready. If somebody sounds the horn, go running like it's for real, because 9 times out of 10, it's eventually one day the horn's going to go off for a real legitimate reason. So all those times that you ran out there and it was nothing, that's practice. You know, sweat a little
yeah,
bit, get ready for it.
absolutely. And that's, you know, um, Survival Julia says they have made us so paranoid, so we will be easier to manipulate. Fear weakens people, and I don't disagree with that. But at the same time, you know, I keep saying, you know, when you prepare your mind properly, all else will fall into place, and that's kind of the whole practice thing, you know, of going and practicing. You know, like when I was teaching Pee Wee football, you know, we would be out there, and they'd be like, Coach, we've already run this drill like 20 times. It's like, well, we run it 21 times, you know, and it's just that practice. It's that, you know, of getting used to it. And you have to understand the manipulation that goes on. Yes, it is to scare the hell out of people. But at the same time, people start to get to where they're like, all right, you know, I've had enough of this. You know, we've been scared for the last year. We're tired of it. We're done, you know. And then the next thing you know, they're like, hey, you know, there's something really bad happening now, you know, and people are like, yeah, whatever, you've been telling us that for a year, and the next thing you know, you're caught up in it and you're laying on the side of the road with blood coming out of your mouth. You know, that's kind of my point, is that do not, you know, this scenario thing was more than just what to do if this happens. It's also a lesson of let's don't lull to sleep. Let's don't, you know, because like I said, I've really been seeing a lot of this lately, and I really want to drive this home because I really care about you guys out there. You know, if I didn't, I wouldn't be on these live streams. I wouldn't be making the videos. Ghosts the same way. You know, we want this information out there, and you know, that's why I'm really driving this home, is do not get over complacent or too comfortable, you know, because
comfortable, but you don't want to get tunnel vision. And I see that happen to a lot of people in this community. And
yes,
and all right, here's the thing. If you're going on certain channels and it's all about, you know, the fear porn and this and that and the other, and don't get me wrong, if that's your niche, if that's what gets you out of bed in the morning, is producing a video for your channel that you're getting subscribers and that's the content they want to hear, then more power to you. Okay, it's just not my bag of tea. You know, I made a video on this and it did pretty well several months ago. And here's the thing. Here's the way I live my life. All right. You know, and people have said before, now, I don't watch the news unless I'm bored and I want something to laugh at. Right now, CNN and MSNBC, that's comedy to me. That's like going to the comedy club. I can sit there and just laugh my ass off for hours. Okay. I don't watch the news. Why? Because it's not news. All right. It quit being news years ago. Here's the thing. Because I wasn't doing any videos on what was going on in Israel and what was going on in all these other places and with Russia and this and that and the other. And I'm definitely not doing videos on politics in the United States of America. And here's why, people. I can't control it. All right. Nobody called me and asked my opinion before they did any of this stuff. And I don't have a 1-900 number, direct line to anybody in control of anything. All right. And here's the way I live my life. If you can't control it, and if you can't dictate the outcome of a situation, I'm not going to waste my time worrying about it. What's going to happen is going to happen. All right. You know, idiots are going to do what they do. All right. All you can do is be prepared and be ready to react. I'm not going to get my blood pressure up over something 10,000 miles away that may or may not even be happening. I mean, come on, let's look at the track record with the newscasters. Okay. You know, it's ridiculous to get the population stirred up and everybody freaking out over this and that and the other. You know what I can control? I can control how much food and water I have in my house. I can control how healthy my rabbits are. I can control my garden. I can control things in my circle of influence. That's the key. If you can't influence it, stop worrying about it. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of in my life. If you can't influence what's going on or the outcome, why would you waste any time thinking about it? Now, don't get me wrong. It's good to have intel. It's good to get all this information and disseminate through it and find out what's right, what's wrong. It's good to know what's going on. It's good to know that people across the ocean are throwing rockets back and forth across the fence. But here's the key. I can't do shit about it. It's good to know about it. It's good to know what's going on, but I'm not going to worry about it. I refuse to do it. I got better things to do. Like, you know, scratch my ass, because that's about how much you're going to get out of it.
Right. Well, I just, you know, I like to, you know, I go on a lot of these live streams and I watch a lot of people's videos. I really do. And, you know, I watch the chat a lot too. You know, sometimes I do lurk, you know, all of us do it. You know, sometimes I just don't want to get on there and chit chat. I just want to listen to what's being said and just kind of see what's being said. I like to observe, you know, I am an observer. You know, when I walk into a crowd, if you're ever with me personally, you know, and you're in person with me, and we go to a store, if you watch me, you'll see, you'll see me. You know, I'm just constantly, you know, I'm talking and I'm doing what I need to do, but I'm looking around. You know, I'm observing things going on around. You know, I've been that way since I was young, you know, and so, you know, I've been seeing, you know, I've been seeing this a lot here lately in chats and you know, things like that of people, you know, I'm just sick of this. I ain't listening to nothing they got to say anymore. Well, don't say never. Don't say you're not. It's always good to pay attention to what's going on, and then make that observation for yourself. Make that determination for yourself, and look back and look and say, okay, all right, I'm not seeing people fall out in the streets. So okay, they're maybe this ain't near what they say. But be cautious. Um, we all get to a certain point in our life to where we're kind of like, because I've caught myself doing it. Like, I'm tired of listening to these stupid people, and I'm out there telling us we're all going to die. Well, we all are going to die anyway one day. But then I stop. Hutch. Knowing Hutch, that's funny. um so but I've even caught myself, and I have to reel myself back in a little bit and be like, all right, one of these times it's going to be for real. We have to understand that. One of these times there's going to be something for real, and if we all keep continuing to freaking I ain't listening to it. And like I said, then all of a sudden, you're sitting there batting your eyes, as everything starts turning blurry, and you're dying, you're dead, you're done, because you didn't take something seriously. So it's a level of sit back and observe, and before you make that rash decision of, hey, they're doing this here. I don't. That's a bunch. They've been telling this crap for a month, and you run out there. It's just like, I've had in Ghost. I'm sure you have too. I've had a lot of training, because I've worked not only in the sewer department. So I've worked with these big manholes and stuff, and you have this gases and stuff down in there, and then also on the gas pad. And I've had a lot of training of, if you see two or three people laid out on a pad somewhere, there's natural gas there, and there's chemicals, some stuff that H2S that can come out of these gas wells, and the same thing in these manholes. If you see a couple of guys and they're passed out in the bottom of the manhole, don't go running down in there, because your first instinct is to, man, I got to save these guys, got to save these people, but don't do that, because they're passed out for a reason. So it's one of them deals, brother. I kind of wanted to throw that scenario out there and bring a little bit of light to awareness of, and I'm glad you brought up the boy cries wolf thing, because that's a really good.
But here's the thing too. If your brain can only process so much information effectively, so if you're worried about everybody on the planet and all these little things that are going on in other states and other countries around the world, you are seriously burning through some brain cells that you're going to need to deal with your own stuff. But I'm going to say it again. If it's not in your circle of influence, it's not your concern. Don't worry about it. I mean, literally, you can know that there's tanks on the streets, and they're doing all this kind of crazy stuff, in another country. It doesn't mean it's going to happen here. So to worry about that and to plan for an M1 Abrams or Bradleys to come rolling down your street like you're going to defend against that, you're seriously wasting brain power, because you're going to get your ass handed to you, because there's nothing you can do to stop an M1 Abrams from coming through your front door.
Right.
Sorry. Don't even, if that happens, if you see that bad boy rolling down the street, grab your bag and get out of the way. That's your only option. So, and that was easy. Look, we didn't spend time, talking about this, that, and the other. If a tank's coming down your driveway, fucking move. That's all you can do.
And quickly.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
Quickly.
So instead of getting upset and stressing about it and having nightmares over it, no. When you hear that sound of those tank tracks rolling on the asphalt, grab your bag, get out of the way. That's it. That's all you can do. It's like worrying about a comet or a meteor striking the Earth, like Greenland. There's a reason they call it a end of the world thing. It means there ain't nothing you can do about it. So just do you be you. Do what you want to do. You can dig a hole and hide if you want. You may have like a 1 in a million chance of surviving. I mean, some microbes and bacteria survived the last time. Is it going to be a comfortable life? No. I mean, but if that's what you want to do, I mean, you do you. I mean, if I knew for a fact that there was, a nuclear missile headed for Charlotte, North Carolina, I would get in my vehicle. Well, not necessarily Charlotte, because I can survive that. If it was, if it was an all-out nuclear war and I lived in New York City, I'm gonna seriously grab my best pair of glasses and binoculars, try to see this warhead coming in and catch it. I want to be right there. I want it to be just a bright flash of snap and it's done and over with. I don't want to be on the outskirts of the city frying like a shrimp on the bobby. What are you going to do?
I've said that before too, Ghost. It's really funny. Somebody was talking about that one time and I was like, I've already told my family if we get that alert thing, hey, it's inbound nuclear device, I said, we're going out and standing out in the front yard and we're watching the pretty flash,
Yeah. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I mean, when I moved to where I am right now, it was very, very strategic. I researched wind patterns and I researched fallout patterns, and I'm in actually quite a safe little pocket area. Is it 100%? No. Is it as safe as some of the places, out, a little bit to the west of where you are, Backwoods? No. I mean, there are areas that are a whole lot safer, but it's you've still got to pick and choose your own, what you can, if it's in your circle of influence is what I mean. I mean, relocating to where I'm at is in my circle of influence. Picking the area. Yeah, I picked the area, but to sit here and go all freak out and worried and get all into the world, whatever, man, I got to feed my rabbits and I got to go water my tomatoes. That's what I got to do. That's what I'm going to worry about today. Because I got to eat. No matter, I don't give a shit what happens tomorrow. I still got to eat. So I'm not going to worry about it.
That's the whole thing. And, you and I had actually talked about that quite a bit in length before about, like things going on over in Israel. We can't control that. It's out of my range of control.
What we're being told probably isn't what's happening anyway.
Exactly. Just like I watched Pinball's video this morning about tax to death,
Yeah.
And, that's a lot of that's still speculation, they're because they were talking about the 8 cents or whatever. And his, and people were, they're doing 8 cents, well, don't get upset yet, because that's not really what they've said. That was made mention at one place. But, there are so many different ways, and, that to me, I think they're going to put a certain amount of cent surcharge on your gas. And that's what's going to be, and you'll pay for it through the miles you drive and the amount of gas that you get. That was my initial thought on it. If they do it,
just like they do property tax. I think it's going to be a yearly thing. You can break it up over 12-month payments. I think it's going to be just like property tax. I think they're going to tax what type of vehicle, if it's fuel efficient or not, and they're going to come up with an average across the board. And I think they're going to tax you just like they do property taxes, and then they're going to increase your fuel surcharge tax, whatever you want to call it, on a yearly basis, based on the incidences and driving incidences and what kind of carbon emissions your area. They're going to come up with all these crazy formulas and all this fake shit, and they're going to say that all this is fact. We've had scientists look at it. I mean, come on, guys. It's they're going to do what they do. If you pay it, you pay it. If you don't, you don't. It is what it is. I'll just get a car and get a horse.
Well, and that's kind of one of the things I was thinking about when I was listening to it. I was like, I mean, what do you do? What do you do about it? I mean, you can do like some suggestions that Pinball had, can you do without that milk for an extra day or two? You know what I'm saying? Normally you run up there and you grab, you run down, you grab a gallon of milk and, a loaf of bread. Can you do without that? you know, or when you do go, buy an extra, you know, if you can.
Some people say, oh, well, just get rid of your car and get a bike. Look, you are a means of money for the government. So if they say we're going to tax you for driving and your answer is I'll just get rid of my car, guess what? They'll figure another way to tax you. They'll make the fuel surge. They'll come up with something and they'll call it like, I don't know, a right to move tax. And they'll just tax every single American above the age of 16 that can drive. And they'll tax them on a yearly or monthly basis just on your ability to. I mean, come on, man. They're taxing people for rain. There is a rain tax where a tribe lives. All right. They tax you for rain. What? That is pretty soon there's going to be an air tax.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the whole thing about it. I mean, it's so. Thanks, Steve, for hopping in, bro. So, somebody asked what the. Let me see, where'd it go? Michigan Outpost. Okay, Virginia Roots got it. The F stands for in SPF. It's sun protection factor. I had to look it up. I'm not as smart as Virginia. She probably already knew.
Yeah, it's hey, what's going on, Red Dog? How you doing? Yeah,
hey, Red Dog.
You know, it's going to get to the point where people are just going to say they've had enough. You know, and it is what it is. And my philosophy is still the same. None of that's in my circle of influence. I can't write a letter. I can't go knock on a door. They didn't call me and ask my opinion on this fuel surcharge tax or whatever. So that tells you how much influence you have over it. I mean, watch a movie, man. Watch Game of Thrones or any of those ancient time movies and realize exactly who you are. You are those sad sons of bitches in the field with no shoes on and a hoe digging potatoes. You're peasants. We all are. Understand it. Deal with it. I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to keep digging at potatoes and you're going to take care of your family as best you can. And you're going to deal with whatever comes down. I mean, it is what it is. We're all peasants.
Be charming. What is a rain tax? You talking runoff? Well, basically what they do, and you know, I may not have this completely right because we don't have any of that here, but what I understand of a rain tax is basically they charge you for the amount of rainfall you get because they have to, because it does certain things like in the storm drains and you know, these different things. See you, Homestead. And you know, you get runoff, you get wash, you know, they have to fix the gravels, they have to and they say that, you know, the runoff from like your roof and stuff like that, I think they put that into the equation, the size house you got and the amount of runoff that your house is going to catch. Yeah, it's crazy. It's
almost like what they do with your automobile taxes. They say that it goes to keep the roads repaired and this and that and the other. And the same way with the rain tax, it goes for dealing with the runoff. Sandra Weber, can Texas leave the union anytime soon? My husband refuses to go back to France. Okay, Sandra, I want to try to clear something up. I won't say clear it up, but this is my knowledge on the situation. Texas is awesome. I honestly wish I lived there. I think Texas is an awesome state. Here's the problem. Everybody says Texas can secede. Technically, they can. Secession is a governmental thing. When the Texas legislatures can come together and say we are seceding from the union. That's a fact. They can do that. The problem is when they joined the union, part of the agreement to join the union was for Texas to ever leave the union. Congress, federal government had to approve it and sign off on it. That will never happen because the federal government loves the money that they get from Texas. Texas is one of the few states in the country that gets money back from the government every year because of how much money they pump into the government every year. Texas has its own power grid. We saw how good that worked when somebody said, hold my beer, and they shut it down for a week. Okay. Texas has huge ports. It has huge oil reserves. It has a massive Texas could legit survive on its own as its own country. Will they ever do it? No. because Congress will never sign off on it. So if they ever do say they are seceding, it's basically all on paper. And if they push it any further than that, technically it's an act of war against the country. So it would be ugly. Another thing Texas can technically do on paper that they had in their agreement when they joined the union way back was Texas can actually legally divide itself into 5 separate states. They've actually went as far as drawn maps, and they've passed it through the House a couple times in Texas to divide up the country how they see fit into 5 total separate states. But I don't think they'll ever do that either, just simply because for the way the votes go and the way they realign the voting districts by the population, it would be a disaster for Texas to split it up, because what you're going to have then is you're going to have 5, probably 4 out of the 5 states that they break off into will be solely around the big cities like Dallas and Houston and Austin, and they'll be Democratic strongholds like they are now, which means they'll carry more weight, come electoral college time. So hopefully that doesn't happen, because that's exactly what they would do.
Virginia and West Virginia still has, they still have that clause that counties in Virginia can still join West Virginia, but I think there's something in there about that too, where it has to be approved and all that. But that clause is actually still.
Yeah, it's all about the money, because when you look at it now, even the way they divide up the voting areas by the population, it all comes down to money. In the end, it always comes down to money, because if people, all right, number one, why would they let Texas leave? Because that takes us down to 49 states, not 50. Then you're losing all those electoral college votes. So whether it be red or blue, at whatever year the election happens, and I think Texas has something like 20 something electoral college votes, 29, 28 something. That's a huge smack in the mouth. That's a massive loss, and they wouldn't do that just simply from the election process would collapse. If that happened, you would see Puerto Rico and some of these U.S. territories become states so fast your head would spin how fast they put new stars on the flag just trying to get those votes back up.
True. I agree with that.
This past election cycle, New York lost, was it 3 or 4 electoral college votes? Florida gained 2, simply because people got tired of the shit in the cities and moved. So the population dictates where the power is, and then it really dictates it by where they move to.
Right. Yeah, it's and the gerrymandering, yes, it's they've been doing this crap. Just it's like whoever's in power it tries to move it back around in their advantage. And I mean, I get it, it's kind of hard to.
And to go back to the Texas thing real quick, I can actually see a scenario where Texas successfully secedes and it works, and that would be after a collapse. After the economy, after the system in the U.S. collapses, I can definitely foresee Texas saying "see ya" and setting up their own. But here's the thing: it won't just be Texas. No. You'll see several other states go with them.
I think Arkansas will.
Actually, I think you'll see everything from West Texas going east all the way through the Carolinas, South Georgia. Basically, the old southern states are going to go with Texas.
Yeah,
I would hope so. Steve, man, I appreciate that, brother. It's that I can see it happening, because then the government wouldn't be able to do anything about it.
Texas. Who else will pay for California? Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
I think the Hodge twins should run for president. Both
president,
of them.
Vice president.
No, both of them be president at the same time.
Oh Lord, man, God dang, man.
Or they could do president and vice president, because you wouldn't know which one was which.
Well, the thing about it is that they'd be up there trying to talk about a speech or whatever, and the other one, the would keep interrupting, and that one would be like, "Man, shut up."
It would be awesome, man. I would love for those guys to be president.
God, they crack me up, man. Them guys are freaking awesome,
Damn
man.
good show.
Damn good show. Yeah.
I love those dudes.
Yeah, I've been watching them for a pretty good while. We'll see if Fish sticks.
See you later, Fish.
Red Tyrant, yeah, that's probably correct. They probably would be one of the first to recover.
That's what I'm saying. That they have their own infrastructure. They have a massive amounts of oil. They have huge seaports. I mean, they have agriculture. They have natural resources. Texas has everything to legitimately survive on their own. Plus, they have more than one of the largest military installations on the planet, which means all that equipment is still there. Most of the troops are still there, you know, so Texas could legit. And here's the thing, if Texas and all the southern states go together, you want to talk about a powerhouse, a military powerhouse. I mean, you got Fort Dill, you got Fort Bragg, you got Fort Campbell. I mean, you got Fort Benning, you've got, I mean, Fort Gordon, Fort Hood, you know, there's all the massive military installations shy of Fort Drum in upstate New York are in the South.
What's up, Mayhem?
Mayhem, what's going on?
If you don't think, and if you don't think there's some old boys down there too in Texas that yeah. I got a buddy that lives down near a couple of 1,000-something acre ranch, and he said there's a let's just say there's a lot of gunshots and explosion type stuff going on, you know, a couple of times a year. He said there's a bunch of them that gets together over there, and he's like, holy crap. He goes, man, he said, I don't know if it's an army over there or what, you know. As he said the first, because he moved from here down there to down in southern Texas, and he said, man, he goes, I'm telling you, dude, he goes, like the very first time I heard it, he said, I thought we were under attack. He said, I started calling folks. Well, I don't know. I don't, Ghost, I'll let you approve that or not.
What, this?
No. The one right above that. It's being held for review. It's Michigan Outpost. It's about getting a comfortable pillow.
I don't see it.
Really? I see it right there. I don't know what you want.
I don't see anything from Michigan.
Can you?
How far back was it?
It was right above the Be Charming. As so, do you think the Capitol Police are setting up shop in Tampa and San Francisco?
It ain't on my screen.
Huh. I see it. I don't know, you know.
Huh.
I know it's about a certain pillow salesman.
Oh yeah, I ain't even gonna touch that.
Okay. All right. I kind of, because
I don't know anything about that. You know, I used to live in Tampa. I don't know anything about that.
Sorry, Michigan Outpost, man. Just we do got to be careful, man. YouTube will strike stuff down quick for certain things. Yeah, it's really stupid.
Yeah, I did get my first warning shot across the bow from YouTube the other day. They told me that they demonetized one of my videos, and I'm like, because you know as well as I do, before I got monetized, I went through all my videos and I scrubbed everything.
Right.
And it was a video of me adding hydroponics to my container gardening. So I did an appeal, and I wrote him a letter. I'm like, dude, just because it says hydroponics doesn't mean I'm growing marijuana. Instead of your computer picking out words, you saying that your YouTube team, your team is a computer algorithm. How about watch the video? I said, there's no marijuana in it. It's tomato plants. And then within 2 hours, they emailed me back. All right, we're sorry, our bad. you know, and they
Yeah,
lifted it.
yeah, I remember Michigan Outpost. I kind of I remember the Hodge twins talking about that, about getting a discount, but I know Ghost wants to, you know, Hodge twins makes a lot of money.
Yeah, they do. Man.
You know, we're just trying to, you know,
I just
just
don't
trying to
want
be protective.
drama. I don't want to have to deal with the YouTube moderators. I don't want to have to write appeals, and I don't want to get strikes. Because here's the thing: YouTube is not a free speech platform. It never was a free speech platform. So for me to sit here and get mad because I said something that I agreed that I wouldn't say is absolutely ridiculous. You know, we know it's not free speech. Do I agree with it? No, but you know what? I don't own it. It's somebody else's sandbox. You got to play by the rules. I would rather have my channel stay open and never, ever, ever get struck so I can keep doing these streams and making videos than have to deal with the politics involved of saying the wrong thing to the wrong person. I mean, we all know how we feel about every single topic that you want to talk about. The messed up part is you really don't even have to type it in the chat, or we really don't even have to say it because we all agree.
Right.
Yeah. Or we wouldn't.
And I know that, Michigan. I know you know we're just all BSing on here, man. We just, yeah, everything's cool. We just,
I mean, you know, another reason I don't really want to talk about it is because I don't have anything to say about it. I didn't follow it. I don't that's more of that stuff on TV that I don't watch. I mean, I know I like his pillows. They're kind of comfortable. They're expensive as shit. You know, but that's about all I know.
I ain't gonna lie to you. We've got like 10 or 15 of them damn things around here. I'm serious. Yeah. Like we've got ones that we keep in the car for travel. We got some on the couch and some out in the guest room. My kids have them. We have 3 or 4 of them on our bed. Dude, I freaking love them, man. They're absolutely the best pillow I've ever laid my head on, man. I'm just gonna be honest.
You want to open it up and see if anybody else wants to come on here with us?
Sure.
All right. Anybody wants? I'm gonna drop the link.
You know, I'm always good to talk to folks, man. I wonder if old Virginia Roots will come on here and talk to us.
She came up last night.
Ghost, you were on there still, I think, or listening rather in the chat, but when I was teasing Zach, yeah, because you actually made a comment about that. I asked him, does he kick his leg like a dog when you scratch his side?
Yeah.
And then Virginia,
yeah, that was a good one.
Virginia Roots said, "You dang straight, Zach." And I was like, or should we say, "Well, you dang Skippy," for Skippy peanut butter, you know? Zach was, boy, I had him rolling about off his chair last night.
Red Tyrant Hunter, I agree with you on that. But here's the thing. When you join YouTube as a content creator, you have to sign a release before they let you activate your channel that says you will operate by their rules, which is no freedom. I mean, it's regulated. That's just the price that you have to pay to have your channel. And I'm not going to waste my energy and get my blood pressure up trying to fight against something that I can't control. I was in the Army.
Wanna Be Natural asked what pillows, and so Val Jean answered it, and that's literally the name. I don't really want to say the name now that we're making a deal out of it, because, well, they cut him out, and will cut people out that talk about him. But for the best night's sleep in the whole wide world.
Thank you, Julie. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I was in the Army. Somebody asked what branch of service. I was in the Army twice. I just dropped the link if anybody wants to come up here and behave and join us.
They did say we will own nothing and be happy. Yeah, I agree. And I've said that before. I got into it with somebody. I don't even remember who it was. And they were talking about, I own my house and property. I was like, no, you don't. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I said, don't pay the taxes on it for 2 years and see how much you own that property.
You own the right. You own the right to keep paying for it is what you own. You own nothing.
Because I guarantee you don't pay taxes on it and see how quickly you think you own it.
Yeah. That's one of the main reasons why I left Florida, other than the hurricanes all the time, was the property taxes, man. My property taxes were going up every year. And I mean, they weren't going up by like 20 or 30 bucks. They were going up by like $1,100 a year, $1,100, $1,200 a year. I got them on the phone and said, what the hell is this shit? Well, the hurricanes. I said, I've never, ever filed an insurance claim.
Right.
I mean, I've got generators, I've got the windows armored, the doors armored. I've never filed anything, but it was because everybody else filed. So what? Charge them more. And I got the hell out.
Well, that's one of the bad things about that kind of stuff, is it's we all, and that's what I tried to make a it's what I tried to make a plea with in my last video, about this affects everybody, all this stuff.
No, I haven't done Patreon. I haven't really done anything other than start the YouTube channel and just talk to people. I'm still trying to figure YouTube out. There's Virginia.
Yeah, I figured she would come up.
What's going on, Roots?
Hey guys.
Our sister always come up and talk to us.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right.
Can't miss out on this beard action. Come on.
It is getting pretty long.
That's right.
Well, hold on, Mayhem. I'm gonna piss you Army guys off real quick, because my daddy is a Marine, and my daddy always said the Marines went in first to make it safe for the Army to come in.
You do realize that the Marines are the Navy's Army, right?
Yeah.
I'm messing.
The only reason there's Marines is because the Navy got jealous of the Army and they wanted their own.
My dad had that shirt on one day, and it just tripped me out. I thought it was funny. It said Marines always went in to make it safe for the Army. So I'm kidding, guys. I was never in the military, and I've made that very clear. So I do not share them personals like that.
Derek, I don't have any information on that, but I would not put any weight behind it. I mean, when it comes right down to it, when you're in combat as a soldier that has been to combat, I'm shooting back at anybody that's shooting at me, period. If you're throwing seeds my way, I'm throwing them back. That's all there is to it. Man, woman, child, confused, blind, lost, I don't care.
Yeah, and to add to that, Derek, I just want to tell you, and because I can't disclose too much, but I know someone personally who was very high up in actually intelligence. And this person, to let you know, this person does not hardly tell me anything, because they can't, because kind of what you were talking about, about having that stuff pounded in their head. But one thing, I did ask this person that question specifically, what you just asked, Derek. And he said, I've never seen that.
No, I've never seen it.
And he just got out of the military just within the last two years, I think it was. He just retired like 2 years ago, I think it is. And I asked him specifically that question. I said, all I'm asking for is a yes or no. I won't ask you any other questions. And I asked him that specific question, and he said, I've never seen that questionnaire.
Well, so here's the thing. You never will, because it is congressionally mandated that United States Armed Forces do not and cannot operate on United States soil. So there would not be a piece of paper with that on it, because technically it's illegal. And until posse comitatus is done away with, that should and will not be a topic of discussion, because technically, according to the government, it can't, shouldn't, and will never happen. Until if posse comitatus goes away, then it's a different story.
Suburban hillbilly, that's a hilarious question. Men who prep and homestead wear their hair on their chin instead of their head. Statistically, you're leading in the right direction. They sure do, and I think it's a secret wizard thing. They all want to be magicians.
Yeah, that's it. You nailed it.
And hello, everybody, and also thank all of the vets. I thank all of the vets in the chat here and anyone listening. I did not serve, and I want to make that clear. But I respect each and every one of you, and thank you very much for your time and service.
Thank you. Aussie Mom Homestead, how you doing?
Hey, Aussie Mom.
How's it going?
Susanna.
Yes,
Hey, Jeep. What's
There's
up,
Jeep.
bud?
Jeep.
Jeep. So, yeah, okay. So, on this particular channel, Derek, well, I mean, Ghost might, because it is his channel, and I may just need to let him explain it better. But the conspiracy theory thing, I don't know if you've seen that or not, Ghost.
Which one? How far up was it?
Just above where
Derek?
Susanna says, yeah, Derek. Just above interesting backwoods and prepping, what Susanna said, and then Mayhem says the Space Force was created, the Coast Guard, somebody make fun of, and then there's Red Dog, Stanley, and then Derek. And I've seen a bunch of that kind of stuff, and man, I just don't know.
Yeah, I've seen it too, Derek. I'm not going to post it on the screen though, but I do know what you're talking about, and yeah, they exist. I don't. The reason they exist, nobody really knows. But yeah, stuff like that is out there. We've seen the videos. Yeah. I mean, you can't. I mean, when you see it with your own eyes, you can't deny it. The reason why, who knows? Let your imagination, do the work.
Well, and that's kind of where I was going with that, Derek. It's not like we're not saying anything bad or anything about what you're saying there. I've seen it too. We don't really know what it's for. I mean, one can assume, one can probably,
yeah.
But
the thing is, we just choose not to talk about it on this platform simply because it is regulated, and I enjoy doing this on a weekly basis, and I don't want to get shut down. Instead of trying to tiptoe and come up with code words, I just don't talk about it. We all know it's there. We all agree.
Yep. I agree. Mad Max. Well, there's a lot of stuff that's hard to talk about. We have to be very careful of how we talk about it. But
we just like to talk about prepping in general. The stuff around that. I mean, nothing medical. I try to stay away from the medical stuff. All this information. I try to stay away from the religious stuff because I don't want to alienate anybody for their beliefs. Their beliefs may be different. They may be the same. I just don't want to take us on alienating anybody in the chat for a religious reason. And politics.
Well, you're roboting really bad, Ghost.
Ghost. As soon as you start,
phone's dying. I'm gonna switch over.
Okay.
I'm gonna switch over to.
I know Ghost well enough. He there you are, Ghost. I know you won't mind me to say this, Ghost. How long before they do nationwide? I think we're already seeing it, bro. Just to make it short and sweet and simple. I think we're already seeing it, and they're doing it through companies. And that's how they're going to take care of this
through employment.
Yeah, because for Congress just to come out and straight out say that this is what we're doing, they're gonna start a big fight. So to keep it simple and where we don't say anything wrong, that's how they're doing it, is they're going to do it through jobs and through entering Walmarts and such.
When I froze up a while ago, was my voice still working, or was I completely froze up?
You
were,
was
yeah.
Okay, well, I'll say it again. What I said was, on this channel, I try to stay away from anything medical information wise, because it's all disinformation. So I try to stay away from that. I stay away from anything religious, not because I don't have religious beliefs, I do, but other people's beliefs in the chat may differ from mine, and I do not want to alienate anybody because of their beliefs. And the third thing is politics, because it's a landmine. So those three things I try to steer away from, just because I don't need the extra drama.
Right. Yeah. So I'd made this mention before, and I really thought that, after mentioning it last night, even, I was really putting a lot more thought into it, or putting some more thought into it last night before I went to sleep. And then today, was the hard candies, and also coloring books and colors and like crossword puzzles. And Mad Max is my bro. He's one of my local brothers, man. He's a good guy. He's cool. He understands, man.
Don't get me wrong. If we wasn't on YouTube, we would be having one hell of a conversation.
Ooh, son.
Yeah.
Because Backwoods knows I'm usually the guy in the bottom of the rabbit hole looking up.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
But I was thinking, in your preps and stuff, man, about like hard candies and stuff, because hard candies will last freaking forever, man. And that. It's I just think that's a couple of things that I think people overlook quite a bit, because I don't see people talking about it much. Is the hard candies, and like coloring books and crossword puzzles. Things like that to, that I think they would be relaxing. In a bad situation.
Dude, I probably spent a couple $100 on any kind of board game, books, Sudoku, crossword puzzles, Monopoly, checkers, chess, Connect Four. I mean, Uno. Anything to break the monotony and give your brain something to do. Because here's the thing, if something happened and the grid went down and it all got dark and there was no more TV, no more internet, half the people in the United States, especially these skinny jean man bun wearing people, are going to friggin' commit suicide. They're not going to know how to do anything. So you need to occupy your mind, especially if you have kids. If you have kids in a house and everything goes dark and you're working on candles and flashlights now, you're going to need something to occupy them. Otherwise, you're going to get more questions and more attitude changes. It's going to destabilize the way your brain's going to function. I mean, it's going to be freaky enough as it is. So you're going to want to have something to occupy their time, and you're going to need something to occupy your time. Just sit down and playing cards, or coloring in a coloring book. I don't care if you're 60 years old. It's relaxing, and it takes your mind away from what's going on. And and I said it before. I did a challenge several months back when people were asking about what do you do, or you're prepping. You've got this, you've got your candles and your freeze dried food, and you've got all this stuff. And I'm like, all right, good. Now Saturday morning at about 7 a.m. before your kids and your wife get up, go into the basement or the garage, wherever it's at, and flip the master breaker switch on your breaker box. Kill your power. Take their phones, put them in a safe or something, and just shut everything down for the weekend. And you guys ride it out and see what happens. Call it a test drive. Call it whatever you want to call it, but function without electricity. And now I'm saying I wouldn't flip the master breaker. Maybe just take the phones and take the light switches out, and, or flip all the breakers. You want to leave your refrigerator going. Obviously, you don't want to destroy all your food. Leave your fridge and freezer going, but don't cook anything on the stove. Don't use any lights. Don't power. No cell phones. No TVs. No internet. No nothing. And you and your wife and your kids go 48 hours like that, and that's a good test run. And if you do that, don't warn them. Don't say, hey, come this weekend, I'm shutting it down. Just do it. Let them wake up to the stuff just like it would happen naturally, and go ahead and get that shock factor in. and get it out of the way. Work your way through it for the weekend. And then, a couple months later, do it again. Do it on a Wednesday night. Do it on, date night, or do it on they're doing something on the computer that is fun to them. Like, say, if they're doing the YouTube and they're doing a live stream, turn it off. Just turn it off and get that shock factor in there, just like that kid that was crying wolf. All right. So when it does happen for real, it won't be the first time. They will already have experience doing things in the dark and cooking without a stove and cooking without a microwave. They already have experience finding something to do to occupy their time without the internet and without their cell phone. You get a lot of mileage out of that. I know one thing. If my daughters, were in the home and they were between the ages of 13 and 16, and all of a sudden they didn't have a cell phone for 2 days or didn't have power, man, and it was the real deal. I don't want the first time to be the real deal. I want the first time, second, third time to be a dry run, a practice. There's a reason why you practice and you exercise, get their brain fixed so they know what to expect. You don't want to just drop no cell phone on a 14-year-old girl. Are you kidding me? I would put her in the yard. I would move. Like, I'm not. No, not today. TikTok? What? I can't do a TikTok video? Oh my God.
Yeah. We got actually a chest of drawers. The upstairs in our hallway, and it's full of board games. That some of them my wife already had, and that was one of the things, was, and I'd read that somewhere when I was back years ago when I was trying to learn about some prepping and stuff like that and some different ideas, and I'd read that somewhere about, have some board games on hand, for even for your natural disasters, tornado comes through the area, you go without power for 2 or 3 days, oh, where'd Virginia go? Sometimes you can, having the board games would be, a good kind of breakup, So yeah, I bought some extra board games and stuff. We have some upstairs.
Well, there's a reason. There's a unit, a section of the military called PSYOPs, psychological operations. It's because the brain is a weapon, but the brain is also a liability. If you don't keep it busy, you will drive yourself absolutely insane. I mean, you've got to occupy the mind. And in stressful situations, it is in a stressful situation, the shit that starts running through your head will absolutely freak you out. It gets overwhelming. So if you don't have something to occupy your mind, you'll go insane, and I mean quick.
Yeah,
quick.
I guarantee you.
I mean, I've been through some PSYOP stuff, and I'm here to tell you, I'm a grown dude. I've seen a lot. I've done a lot. I ain't scared of shit. But that PSYOP stuff, man, that's a weakness everybody has. That's your brain. If you can get inside somebody's head and start calling the shots and poking buttons, man, you can severely just destroy whatever they got going on.
Redneck prepper. I used to play Yahtzee years ago.
I love Yahtzee.
I hadn't played any board games in a long time, or even anything like a PlayStation or anything. I hadn't played any of that kind of stuff in a while.
I mean, I'll tell you what, my favorite memory, my favorite scene, put it that way, in that HBO series, True Blood, with the vampires, was when they were playing Yahtzee with the Queen out by her swimming pool. She was all into playing Yahtzee. Yahtzee. It was hilarious. It made me go out and get Yahtzee. Oh, that's cool. Your adult kids still come for game night. That's awesome. And me and my family, we play a lot of poker. So we'd all get together, uncles, cousins, nephews, father, and we play, poker for hours and hours. Everywhere. I have a bag right now full of change and dollar bills that's in my bug out bag because we play poker. There's nothing more frustrating than playing poker and not having each. It's just boring to play it and not win something, even if it's just pennies.
Yeah, I've seen. You know, I watch a lot of them old cowboy movies and cowboy shows and stuff. You know, them old westerns and stuff, and I always thought it was funny. You know, some of them, like when they didn't have any money, you know, they'd play for tobacco or uh, something like that. You know, or just use matches or whatever. But yeah, I've seen a lot of that kind of stuff. But
yeah, I mean, playing poker without anything in the middle is boring.
Well, you know, that's one thing I do have in some of my bug out bags. We'll see you, Mayhem. I I keep a deck of playing cards, you know, in some of them. I don't have them in all of them. Poker with Monopoly money. Yeah, I guess you could do that.
I mean, I'm here to tell you how weak the human mind is. Okay, I've been through quite a few sessions of psyops training, and there's one. I volunteered to play OP4, which is opposing forces for a military maneuver called Robin Sage. It's phase 4 training of Green Beret training. It's the last phase of training they go through before they receive their beret and their dagger. So we played the bad guys. And this mission, which was completely staged, it was a training exercise. They were going to ambush us, and some of us were going to be taken. Actually, they didn't tell us that some of us were going to be taken prisoner of war. They just said we were going to be ambushed and just to roll with it. So we got ambushed. So several of us were taken POW. And here's the thing: it's a military training exercise. You know, I know they can't kill me on purpose, but I know the outcome. I know what's going to happen. It's just an exercise and taking POW. Dude, they zip tied me. They hobbled me. Had a burlap sack, and the burlap sack. Look, I know it's kind of like it's all in TV and movies. They use burlap sacks for a reason. They itch. They're painful. And it's hot as shit inside those things. And you can't really keep your eyes open for very long because little pieces of that burlap get off there and then get to your eyes. And it's very, very annoying. Having a burlap sack on your head when you're sweating is like laying ass naked in the attic on fiberglass. It's a pain in the butt. Ooh. So they burlap sacked me, they hobbled me, zip tied me, gagged me, and then we go walking through the woods. And they bounced me off of pretty much every single tree in the woods. You know, I'm tripping over things on purpose, and they made it very, very uncomfortable walk. And then there was gunshots, and there was all this theatrics. And even though I know it was fake, I knew every single bit of it was fake. I swear, I think I almost peed myself a little bit when the mask comes off, and they're threatening to shoot this guy and shoot that guy. It's when you play tricks on the mind and you do sensory deprivation where you can't hear and you can't see and you can't smell, or they influence what you see, hear, and what you smell. It changes everything quickly. And this was in a controlled environment.
Did you happen to see what Moose Man said? Virginia's computer crashed.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. And yes, Derek, I did see the booger eating. That was disgusting. Ugh. Did you see that, Ghost?
Booger eating? What are you talking about?
What Derek just put. He did. I seen it. That is absolutely correct.
No, I don't watch it. I didn't see it. I don't want to see it. That's nasty.
He had it on it right here, and they gave him a piece of paper that said, "Hey, you've got something on your chin," you know. And so he goes like this, and I swear to you, he goes and stuck his finger to his mouth, and then he picked a piece of paper up, and it's blank, right? And he's showing what it says on the paper, and that you can read it. And he's looking at the paper, and he's like, "Well, it's just a blank piece of paper," he says, or something like that. And he sets it down and starts to write on it. And I'm like, "Oh my God, this man is insane." I was like, "What the hell is wrong with this guy, man?" Oh my gosh, dude. I watched that video and I was just sitting there like, I was like, because soon as he did this, I was thinking, no, don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't. No, you did that. You're on live TV, man. God dang. Oh,
Man, we still got 82 people in here. Anybody else want to come up and behave?
right. Was that Milkmaid's? Milkmaid says, shook my head and figured that was par for the course. That's
Professor,
fun.
I'll take boogers for 500, Alex.
Oh.
All right, we'll try again. I started buffering a little bit, then all of a sudden, all of you were gone. I couldn't open any browsers. It was very bizarre.
Wow.
But we'll try again. I gave her a reboot.
Oh,
my computer's got to where it goes on about a 3-day cycle. It'll run great for about 3 days, and then I need to do a complete shutdown, restart, and let it update, and then it works fine for about another 72 hours. Then it just gets slow and it stops.
That's about right. And I'm on a desktop, and I'm finding the same thing. At least twice a week, I have to unplug all of my router, my modem, all of it, and do a hard reboot, or it's sludge.
I got here now, like right before I do a live stream, I'll do a shutdown and a restart just to refresh it.
Right.
Just because I don't want to drop off in the middle of the stream.
Right.
Yeah. I do that on mine at least once a week. If I do that at least once a week, just kind of go in there and shut it all down and let it all come back up, reboot and all that stuff. It usually does fine once it, I ain't had, because I was having problems with it there for a little while. It would just drop me off and everything else, and and I started doing that about once a week. Just shut it all down, let it just shut all down and let it all reboot.
Hello, Professor Falcon. And no, I didn't. Unfortunately, I got it from the Wally World. maybe that would have been better.
All right. Did you hear about my garden, Virginia?
I heard, as you were breaking up, you said something. One of the last things I heard was your hydroponic video got taken down, and then I kind of lost you guys after that.
Well, it didn't get taken down. They just demonetized it, and then
they demonetized. Okay.
Yeah, I appealed it, and they brought it back up. They demonetized it because it had the word hydroponics in it, and they flagged that as marijuana every single time. Yep. So they fixed that, and then, but now what I was saying at the beginning of the stream, I went outside this morning, and my hydroponic tomato plants, all 3 of them, look like shit. And I'm like, what in the hell? And I know they're getting plenty of water, or not water, they're getting all the water they need because I just changed it like a week ago. So this afternoon or this evening when I went out to water and feed the rabbits, they just, man, they look horrible. And the one plant that has fruit on it is covered in this white mold.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm yanking them all out tomorrow. I'm gonna video it. I'm gonna get the hydroponic tomatoes out. The soil tomatoes are looking great. My the big Zac that I have out there, it's the size of a softball. It's massive.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the other plant,
is it like that white powdery fungus?
It's what it looks like, but it's just on the fruit.
Huh.
And the leaves all shriveled up. I mean, they just look like crap. I don't know what happened.
See you, Shannon. Thank you for stopping by.
Bye, Shannon.
Good night, Shannon.
Thank you for hanging out.
I think maybe with them being hydroponics and being outside, I'm gonna shift gears and I'm gonna do the hydro strictly for the winter, growing inside, and I'm not gonna let them get as big as they are. I'm gonna let them flower. I'm gonna let them do like maybe 3 rows of flower, and then I'm gonna top them. I'm just gonna top them all and let them fruit and go to harvest.
Yep.
Because they're all indeterminate, so they're just going to grow and grow and grow and grow.
I don't know the difference between determinate and indeterminate tomatoes. People talk about it a lot, and I'm going to admit a dumb question. What does that mean exactly?
A determinate tomato, what it does is it grows through its growing stage, and then it flowers, and it produces a whole bunch of tomatoes all at once, and then it's done.
Okay.
An indeterminate As long as you can keep it alive, it'll just keep producing fruit.
Oh.
In stages.
Okay. That's good to know. I had no idea, and I just haven't managed to ask anybody yet. And honestly, I'm not sure which tomatoes I'm growing. I put some old seeds into a huge bucket, and many of them sprouted. So I believe I have a little pocket of cherry tomatoes, and then the plant right next to it, I think is like a beefsteak.
Right.
But they're doing great.
I think what hurts my hydroponic tomatoes is because they are outside, and so they're getting exposure to rain, and rain's getting into the solution and it's diluting it.
Yep.
So I'm not able to keep the solution where it needs to be because it's in an uncontrolled environment being outside. I could have done better and tried to seal everything up, but I didn't. I got lazy, which was the entire purpose of the garden anyway, was to half-ass try and see if it works. But I think in a controlled environment, I think they would have done a lot better. I think maybe doing the crack key method without any aeration is a little tough for tomatoes. Now my lettuce that I'm growing is doing great in the hydroponics. It's just blowing up.
Yeah.
So that's going good. But lettuce is a lot easier to grow than tomatoes because tomatoes are so hungry. And once they go from the flowering stage into the fruiting stage, you've got to kick up the level of fertilization that you're getting them because they need so much more nutrition. And I haven't really dialed that in yet. So it is
They
what it
need
is.
more food.
Yeah. Plus, it's so much easier to just sprinkle the nutrients onto the dirt and water it in, like I'm doing now with the dirt plants. I'm just taking the hydroponic nutrients and I just sprinkle it on top of the dirt and I water it in, and they're blowing up. So that's how I'm probably going to do it. I think the only thing I'm going to do truly hydroponic is going to be lettuce.
Yeah.
Because it's too hard to do the tomatoes because they get so heavy, and if you don't have them in a net cup and you don't have them tied off and really sturdy, they move. They're damaging their own roots, and it's a lot of weight, to be sitting on top of a bucket.
Well, I'll tell you something. My tomatoes were determinants, and they are growing all halfway down the freaking cattle panels, because I set up and they're freaking growing over the cattle panels and back down to the ground already. And I'm still getting green tomatoes, and it's steadily bushing off and flowering more and more tomatoes, dude. It's insane.
I don't mean they do it all at once. I mean they go through a growing season, and once they're done producing, they stop producing. An indeterminate. I had an 18-month-old tomato plant in Florida. That's the one in my hydroponic video. It was 18 months old. It was like a tomato tree. It was, and it was like religious. It was every 2 days I would pull it between 6 and 8 tomatoes every other day, nonstop for months, all through the winter. It was awesome. But also too with your tomatoes, if you're planting determinants and indeterminants close together, or any kind of tomatoes that are different varieties, they'll cross pollinate. So you'll get some crazy, messed up, weird looking, traits of those kind of tomatoes.
That's probably what I'll get. I've grown a lot of weird things.
Hey, I wanted to touch on something. Kind of, we touched on something sort of. Okay, Redneck Prepper says about Walmart shut down and remove shelves and so forth, and then Milkmaid answered, taking it with a grain of salt. This time of year, they start prepping for Christmas and things, and yeah, we. I guess what I was wanting to say about that is, when you see stuff like this, let's don't just automatically jump to conclusions or things like that, because I know here, like at our Wally World, we've made the joke for years about we made joke for years about, man, if you want wintertime clothing, you shop during the summer, and if you want summer clothing, you shop during the winter, because it seems like Walmart will, it'll be the middle of summer and we still got like 2 months left in the summer, and they'll take all their shorts and all their short sleeve shirts and they'll start putting their long sleeve stuff out, and I'm like, what are you doing? It's freaking hot. You can't find no swimming trunks, and I know that our Walmart, does, when it getting close to like Thanksgiving and stuff, they like there'll be a whole big area that's just empty, and they start moving stuff around and getting it ready for Thanksgiving items and stuff. So just you know, just yeah, kind of like milkman. Sorry, milkmaid. Like Milkmaid said, just kind of take that stuff as a grain of salt at this time, man. There's so much crap going on out there, and that's what I was kind of the scenario I brought up, was and I was kind of wanting to, don't I know, Milkmaid, I've seen you in person. I know you're not a man. I do truly apologize.
Dude, are all my female cannibals hot or what?
Yeah, oh, beautiful ladies, man. Dude, there's some beautiful ladies on here, dude. I'm like, what the world?
All the cannibals are smoking hot. The female ones.
Come on,
one's pretty cute. And then there's 101.
Well, yeah, 101's kind of cute.
Yeah, for a dude. That goes back to what I was saying before. If you're a prepper, if you've got the stuff you need in any way, shape, or form, and you see things changing at your grocery stores or things like that, instead of freaking out, number one, you shouldn't, because you're a prepper, so you should be prepared. That's where the word prepper comes from. Instead of reading into it, never read into a situation, because you don't know what the last chapter is, okay? Don't read into it. There's a reason people, maybe they're remodeling, maybe they're moving stuff around, maybe the truck had a flat tire, maybe they just haven't stocked the milk yet. They may have 50 cases in the back, but 5 people called in sick and they're having trouble getting the stuff on the shelves. Maybe you just went shopping at the wrong damn time, okay? So don't read into things. When you read into things, then you start getting paranoid, then you start talking about this and that and the other. Here's the thing. If it's not in your circle of influence, don't worry about it. Do you work at Walmart? No. Do you own stock in Walmart? No. Do you have a job at Walmart? No. That's just where you go to get food and to keep your supplies going. But if you're prepared and say they don't have milk for 2 weeks, well, you've got cases of dried milk downstairs. You've got cases of canned milk downstairs. So you can weather the storm. Just don't read into it. Don't go out looking for the shark, okay? I mean, just do the damn thing. Just live your life.
I know, Milkmaid. I do apologize though. Anyway, yeah, and I really like what
he's used to. His mom always talking about the milkman, from back when he was growing up. Is the milkman here yet? Is the milkman here yet?
I really liked what you said last night too, Ghost, on the fact of there's probably a lot of them, because people are generally lazy, who wait until that last minute to put stock back on the shelves just so they don't have to rotate.
I asked them. That's exactly what they told me. I make good friends with people at the stock boards at the Walmart, because they let me know when the canning jars are coming in.
Right.
I mean, network people. You got to network. I network with these guys. They call me. I mean, there's the lady at the convenience store. She calls me when they get a fresh supply of tobacco in, because I want my chew to be fresh. She holds them back for me. When Hurricane Irma hit, and when I was living in Florida, the people that I networked with at the stores that I went to, she held back, 3 rolls of tobacco for me. She called me when the ice truck got there. She let me know when the fuel truck was getting there ahead of time, so I was ready. Do the same thing at your local grocery stores. Talk to them. Find out when certain things get delivered. I asked him, I said, dude, how come the shelves are so empty and you got all these pallets of stuff just sitting here in the middle of the floor? He goes, well, and he goes, in the heavy shipping hours, and they have certain time slots where they stock, and they've researched it, and they have their own algorithm to when they stock when there are as few people in the store as possible. And what's happening now, pre-pandemic, Walmarts were 24/7. So they just kind of stocked whenever it needed to be stocked. But now post-pandemic, with most of them still closing at 9, 10, or 11 o'clock at night, they have to get their stocking done when people are in the store. So what they do is they do their little computer when you come in, when you go out. They pick the time of day when there aren't that many people, either right before they open or right before they close. And that's when they load the shelves up. And he told me flat out, he goes, there's not that many of us. He said it's easier to let the shelves get empty and stock it versus going there and having to rotate all that stock. They let you empty the shelves and they fill them back up, which makes perfect sense.
Good night, Milkmaid.
Yeah, good night, Milkmaid.
I'm still hoping for your meatballs, Milkmaid, but I don't know. Win.
Real quick, Derek says, okay, sorry, no disrespect, Backwoods and Ghost. No, nobody's taking anything disrespectful, brother. I promise. We all, like Ghost said earlier, dude, if we were on a different type of platform or whatever, oh man, we could, yeah, we don't mind to talk about the rabbit holes and all this stuff, but we just have to be really careful here, just because they just
before I made a YouTube channel and really started getting involved. I didn't care. I'd talk about what, whenever, didn't really crap. But when you have a channel, and Backwoods will tell you, too, when you put several hours a week of your time into making videos and putting content out there and doing it the right way and researching, like, coming up with these things for the scenarios and coming up with these different shows like the Prepper Summit and doing the scenarios with Backwoods and doing the live canning with the Canimals, that's a lot of freaking time on my part that I put into this channel. So for me to make a mistake and come up here and say something stupid or get involved in a conversation that YouTube has flat out said, don't do it or we'll shut you down, that's just stupid on my part. That means I wasted all that time. And you know what? I have fun hanging out with the Canimals and canning. I have a blast doing the Prepper Summit. I have a blast doing this. I'm not going to risk that. It's not a free speech platform. I know that. So I'm going to play by the rules.
Yeah, and for people out there that don't make videos, I don't think they understand that. Like Lucky Dame Preparedness, she says, sometimes she just goes live because it's easier than making a video, because it is, man. You got to sit there and wait for the stupid thing to upload, and it finally uploads. And if you're monetized, and even if you're not, YouTube will run a check on that video, and it says it's only supposed to take 20 minutes. I've seen where mine took 2.5 hours one day, and I was like, dang, I really need this video to get out there, and by a certain time, and it's like I'm just sitting, and I'm going back and forth and having to keep checking. And then once you do, you have to go in. You don't have to, but if you want a certain picture on there, because YouTube will pick one for you, and it may be when you're going that. I mean, seriously, it'll just pick a random picture off of your video, and so yeah, there actually is a lot that goes into it, man. Making videos, and editing sometimes, and because I'm bad I'll sit there and I'll go squirrel for a minute when I'm making a video, and I'm like, crap, and I have to pause it, and I'm like, all right, so this, and then I'll start the video back, So
just about the time that you put into like say the canning stream, people are still going, man, Ghost, I cannot believe you're canning live. I mean, a live canning stream, say we're doing meat, I mean, it's 3 hours of processing time. That's just the on-screen processing time. That's not the, say, I don't know, an hour and a half of prep time that you have to do if it's something where you got to cook, like, say, spaghetti or something like that, and the time that you spend at the store getting the stuff, and the money that you spend getting the equipment that you need to do it, and then the Q&A afterwards. I mean, there's sometimes my live canning stream has been 6 hours, the three. I mean, it's a long time. That's a lot of energy. And then you come around the next night, and then you and I go on for another, 3, 4, 5 hours. That's a lot. And then I got to make videos during the week. That's a lot.
I was going to say, I thought that one cannon, because I had to go somewhere, and I came back, and it was like in the middle of the canning deal or whatever. And I think you actually, that was the one I actually came up on the panel, and I was like, I wasn't canning, but I think that stream went for like 7 or 8 hours nearly.
Yeah, that was the same night. Tribe came up there too towards the end, and we had a real time. It basically ended up being like 2 different live streams. We canned for a while, and then it was like straight prep and talk, canning afterwards for another. It was 7.5 hours, I think it was.
Good night, Suburban Hillbilly. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, it was a good one. But it's like the Prepper Summit. It's like the Prepper Summit. I put a lot of time into that summit last night with those questions and tailoring them to the 2 guests. And that show last night was awesome. I think that show just kicked ass in a major way. It was awesome. I mean, Rip Curl, felt like shit. He's still sick, and he brought his A game. 101 showed up, and I didn't think he was ever going to leave 4 hours later, which is crazy for him. He's usually in and out pretty quick.
Yeah.
So the Prepper Summit's going real good. And, we got 65 people in here right now. I'll go ahead and drop a little bit of information. I have confirmation of a guest on Prepper Summit for October the 2nd. So mark that down on your calendar. It is the Angry Prepper. I talked to him last night and again this morning. So October the 2nd, I just let him pick a day. I gave him every other Saturdays. Pick one you can do it. That way it's no stress. And he picked October the 2nd. So Angry will be on there October the 2nd. And
Awesome.
I've already talked with Rudy, the Alaska Prepper. He said to just give him, a good 2 or 3 weeks head notice, and he'd love to do it. So I'm going to try to get him in September, and then follow that up with Angry in October. And then I'm doing one specifically geared to people with disabilities. And Gemma's going to take point on that. And we're going to I'm going to get at least 2, maybe 3 people on the panel that are disabled with completely different disabilities.
Oh, wow.
So we can get like a really broad range of the challenges that people have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm also going to do a homestead edition where I'm going to bring homesteaders up. And the way this thing looks, how it's going is something's going to have to change to whether I got to move something, because the Prepper Summit seems to be really going good and people want to have it more than once every 2 weeks. So it may end up being like a weekly thing. I don't know. It's a lot of effort in putting that thing together and getting people on the same page to do it, but we'll ride it out and see what happens. But I am really excited about having Rudy on and Jason. I think they're going to do awesome.
Yep.
I just got to pair them with the right people. They got to have chemistry. It's like last night, 101 and Rip Curl, they had chemistry. They played off of each other. It was awesome.
I wanted to say something here about John said. Look, first off, it's not spaghetti, it's sketty. And you got to take that mustard and you mix it around in there real nice. But let me tell you something. I had me some at one time. I took me some of them old biscuits. They was a little bit hard, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, man, I sopped that old sketty sauce up with that mustard mixed in there, son. I'm tell you, some of the best biscuits I ever owned.
I tell you, I gotta give one more shout out here too. I'm gonna give a shout out to Pinball Preparedness. 2 weeks ago, he came on Prepper Summit, and he went above and beyond. He gave me shout outs on his videos. He shared the link. He told his people to come over and check it out. And I literally got, and this is no lie, guys. If y'all don't believe me, you can ask Virginia. I sent her the text message, picture proof. I gained, since he came on the show, I gained over 600 subscribers. I gained 400 subscribers within 36 hours of him coming on the show. And all of his people came over and they said hello, and they're still coming back. That's one of the reasons why I backed the show up an hour last night, was because Pinball goes on at 9, and I didn't want to step on his toes, so to speak, because I also wanted to make sure that any of the new subs to my channel would be able to watch both streams, which it was awesome. He didn't have to do that, and he did, and I appreciate it so much.
Good night, Julia. Thank you for coming. I had a lot of fun chatting with you earlier.
Yeah. It was cool. Charming.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, the show last night, I mean, I was kind of worried at first, but I mean, it went off without a hitch. And that's the cool part about doing those live streams, especially when you're putting the show together. I mean, when it works, it's awesome. And, the first 2 shows, I mean, Angry couldn't make it for the first one. He got called into work. And then 101's computer went down. He said it went down. I think his mother-in-law restricted his internet access. So the first 2 shows, it was just me and one of the guests, but last night I had 2, and it went over really, really well. I'm looking forward to it growing. I think it will.
Hey, Hat Creek, how's it going?
Hi, Hat Creek. I saw your comment earlier that people in your community, Amish, are not worried about Walmart running out of food. And I didn't get a chance to reply to you, but I noticed it. I had it filed away in the back of my head. You're absolutely right. And it's an absolute honor to meet you.
But
I've seen that.
If you're worried about food shortage and you're basing that on Walmart, you're doing it wrong. Okay. Because if we're running out of food, Walmart's going to be the last place to run out of food.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this too. living up here in this little small town. Walmart, actually, I went there the other day for a couple of little supplies that I have to go there for in my little town. And when I kind of walked to the, by the meat section, because that's when you come into ours, it's right there. And I just walked through to kind of look around at stuff, and I was like, man, yeah, the shelves are pretty, empty. They're way more empty than I'm used to seeing. And so we've got this Cost Saver Foods down here, which is where I buy my meats and stuff anyway. And I went down there, and I was, dude, they're like freaking stacked to the rafters. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, I'm walking through there, and they got just rows and rows of canned goods, man. And I mean, they're stacked all the way this deep, and freaking, just all kinds of canned goods, and just stacked like you ain't never seen, like nothing, like no problem. You know what I'm saying? And so I kind of was like, yeah, Walmart. Sometimes I think that's a part of a psyop thing too, because they're all in anyway with the.
It is plus. It is plus. People got to realize too, Walmart has very few full-time employees. Most of their employees, I think, like 80% of their employees are part-time.
They do that on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, they save on the insurance, they save on all these crazy taxes.
The benefits.
If they're running a shift, and it's a production shift where they're making money, that starts after the shelves are stocked, and then the main employees they have there are the ones that check you out or ask to see your receipt when you leave. They don't have very many people walking around stocking shelves because they're not working right then. Then the part-time shift comes in, and they stock all the shelves. I mean, they rotate through that. It's not like a regular grocery store where you have people there stocking 24/7. Walmart does it in shifts. It's smart. I mean, from a business point of view, doing your shelves that way is good. It's easier on the staff. Empty the shelves, and they fill them up. Just because there's nothing on the shelf when you're there, that doesn't mean they don't have the stuff in the store. There's not anybody there stocking. And then now, when you got something else a lot of people don't realize is that now that their people are shopping online, you've got all those people in Walmart pushing that big cart around that are doing their grocery shopping for you. And man, the shelves are getting depleted quick because everybody's in there basically at one time shopping. It's going to be hard to keep the stuff on the shelves. But I asked my guy at Walmart, is there supplies? He goes, no, we got the stuff. It's just getting it here. It's a transportation issue. There's only so many trucks in a truck. A 53-foot trailer can only hold so much stuff. So if your store is going through twice as much stuff as it usually does, but the same amount of trucks are delivering the stuff, you do the math. It's
you've got to understand there's a lot more people waking up to what's going on and seeing this food shortage thing, and it is because of logistics, transportation, things like that. Like you said, there's just not enough employees there. Things are not happening as quick as as back before everything turned unnormal. And it's and you've got these people that actually are. I've noticed the few times, because I don't go to Walmart hardly at all. Just every once in a while for a couple of little things, but like when I go grocery shopping, it's down here at the Cost Saver. But I've noticed that, people are the baskets seem to be filled up more. You know what I'm saying? It's very rare to me. What I've noticed is going in there and seeing someone buying, walking around with a gallon of milk and a loaf of bread. It's usually it's full baskets of stuff. I think people are buying more stuff right now.
Yeah, it's instead of hitting the grocery store every day for the meal that night, they're going once or twice a week, and they're getting stuff 3 or 4 days. That limits their travel. Some people are still scared. I mean, it is what it is. And now, Don't get me wrong. Do I think there's going to be a food shortage? Absolutely. I watch the Ice Age Farmer religiously. The man knows his shit. I've done the research. I've talked to farmers. I know that there is a pending food shortage. By shortage, I don't mean it's going to just not be available. I think that the the logistics and the supply chain are going to get stretched to the point to where something's going to snap. And there's just literally, there's going to be food rotting on the vine just because people can't get to it. It's just like a year and a half ago when they had to throw away all that milk and they had to bury all those potatoes. I mean, they had the stuff, they just couldn't get it to the people.
Yep.
I think that we're going to see too, when that starts to happen, I think we're going to see limits on everything.
Oh yeah.
You will be limited pretty much. You know, you won't be able to go in and fill your shopping basket up full of meat, you know, or fill your shopping basket up full of toilet, you know, just like they did with the toilet paper. You know what I'm saying? I think when you walk in there, they'll say limit this much for this particular items, you know, meats, limit on this, you know, and I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah. Plus, I also think the shortages are going to be localized. By localized, what I mean is, like here in my part of the country, we raise a lot of chickens. We raise a lot of pigs. There are a bunch of chicken farms and pig farms, and there are a lot of actually farms. And I don't think we're going to see a shortage of pork. I don't think we're going to see a huge shortage of chicken just because it's so close and it's so local and it's so easy to get it to market. Things like beef, I could see that being an issue here because there's not a lot of beef cows being raised here. There are a lot of dairy farms. I don't think dairy is going to be an issue here. But I think depending on where you live, if you're in an area where that stuff is just not produced locally, I think you will see that hit first. I think now is the perfect time for people to get to know their local farmers, because here's the thing: if you've got a local dairy farmer and he can't get his stuff to market and he's going to have to just pour it down the drain, let me tell you something. I don't know a farmer on the planet that would not rather give away their stuff than destroy it. All right. So if you network with these people, the people that raise the chickens, that raise the hogs, that do this stuff, you know, and you might end up getting, you know, meat at half price or even 10% of what it normally costs, just because they're going to have to destroy it or throw it away anyway. Nobody wants to do that.
Hello, Chris and Drill.
Yeah,
that's actually, pardon me, Backwoods. I'm sorry. Shift Engineering said a few minutes ago, y'all support your local farmers market. It's your best bet to get stuff reliably. And I completely agree with that. We need to support our local farmers, dairy farmers, vegetable farmers. Look, right now is farmers market season for a lot of the country. You know, look it up in your local, whatever, your paper, whatever it is for your locale that you can find it. It's probably right in your town. I have a farmers market, probably 6 farmers markets within 15 miles of me, through which I could get anything. And if these folks are putting that effort out there and they're trying to support their communities and offering these, honestly, it doesn't cost very much more either. You go to a farmer's market where I live and you can get a zucchini for $2 that's about the size of a football, or you can grab a bunch of starts for various herbs and plants that might grow well in your area because they've started there. You know, look at them for honey. Get local honey, get local berries, locally produced jellies, and support these folks that are trying to work.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy, Redneck Prepper. I didn't know that. Like I said, I don't, like, I stay out of Wally World as much as possible, you know. That's one of the things I like about our cost saver here. You know, it's a lot of locally, you know, I even seen in there last summer, I went in there and there's a local guy that I know, and he makes spices, you know, for like hamburgers, barbecue, you know, grilling and stuff like that. And yeah, rubs and stuff. Yeah. And he actually was able to sell his stuff down there in the store. He had a nice little shelf set up in there, and so, you know, I bought some of the rub. I know the guy, you know, and he does make actually some really good spices and rubs and stuff. So, you know, that's one of the things I like about that place down there. You know, it's really pretty cool, you know. So I shop there when it comes to food items.
Hoot Owl, I think you bring up a very good point. It might be a point of contention for some folks, but everywhere I look, I see help wanted signs. Now,
Mm-hmm.
don't get me wrong, people I know have had rough times for various reasons. I get it. However, from my observation and in my opinion, there are far more jobs out there than people putting in applications for a variety of reasons. And it's time to get up and go. You know, one of the biggest things we can do to help ourselves is get in there and start fulfilling those help wanted needs, because businesses, especially small businesses, if they start going down, then we are screwed living under the technocracy and oligarchy of your Amazons and your Marts and your various big box places, okay? And
Mm-hmm.
that is not what you want at the end of the day. Don't let the little guys go down. Go in there and apply for your local whatever, your local market, your local gas station. Your just the jobs are there. I
Yeah.
can't go 10 feet and not see a help wanted sign. That's
Yeah.
right, Pat Creek. If you can't find one, you don't want one.
I agree.
I think I suggest for people too when they're talking about seeds and gardens and things like that. This is just something that popped into my head. You know, there's a lady and native voice brought it up last night. This lady, her name's Lizzie. She sets up on the side of the road here on the way to our local Walmart, and she has some of the best produce. Oh my God, it's a little bit pricey because she transports it from where her farm is, which is not really super close to here, but she transports it here because the farmers market here got shut down last year. So she has a mobile farmers market. It's in a big U-Haul truck. Brings it and sets it up every day on the side of the road. But my point is, it's all organic, it's all locally grown, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really good quality stuff. So what I do or what I did is like when I was getting Cherokee purple tomatoes from her. They were massive. I was getting cantaloupe, watermelon, and I got a cantaloupe from her 2 weeks ago, and this thing was every bit of probably 15 pounds. It was the biggest cantaloupe I had ever seen in my life. This thing was massive. It was the size of a basketball. Seriously, maybe a little bit bigger. Um, I wasn't sure if it was going to be great. I smelled the stem. It smelled really good. It looked good. I opened it up and ate it. It was the sweetest, best tasting cantaloupe I ever had. I mean, this thing was tender. It literally fell apart in your mouth. So what I did was I saved seeds. Okay, it's a massive cantaloupe. It tastes great. There's some good genetics there. So I saved the seeds from that cantaloupe. It's locally grown. There is no issues. You know, I've got a drawer full of them right now, ready to go. You know, and I did the same thing with the tomatoes. I even did it with some of the cucumbers I got from her. So when you find fruit or a vegetable or anything you're eating and you have a chance to save those seeds and it's good fruit, save the seeds, especially if it's organic. If it's heirloom, save those seeds. Put that in your seed vault. Don't plant seeds that you bought from across the country that aren't acclimated to your weather, that might not even germinate. Save your local stuff.
Yeah, Stephanie Joe, I understand that, and you're right. But you're probably not going to get that with some of these smaller places like Virginia was talking about. You know, there's a possibility you can. I agree, but you know, it's I don't know. It's crazy out there, and you just got to make a choice for your life, man. I said it before. You know, sitting around thinking you getting this little quick check and so forth. You know, from the gub. You know, it's. I mean, eventually somebody's got to go to work, man, or you know, all that money ain't doing you no good because there's nothing to buy. You
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
know, you know, I don't know how to say it any plainer than that. You know,
I was
if you don't
I
work,
made
you
up
don't eat.
I made up some rabbit forms, some rabbit inventory and meat production projection forms and ways to keep because I got to doing rabbit math in my head and I went, wait a minute, if I don't get this stuff on paper and have a log book where I can track what's going on, who's bred, when they're due, when to bring them to nest, when, you know, all that good stuff, when to go to slaughter, I will get lost. It was, and I spent several hours making up some custom forms. And I actually I copied them and sent a set of all of them to Native. And I was doing some legitimate rabbit math, and it freaked me out. I did an average of 6 kits per rabbit with breeding, I think 6, maybe 8 moms on a pretty aggressive breeding schedule every 6 to 8 weeks. And it freaked me out when I did the math and I punched in all the numbers and I hit equals. It came out to well in excess of 1,000 pounds of meat a year.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. In the backyard for basically nothing. Like, I mean, I'm growing their food. I mean, it's from seed, so it really doesn't cost me anything but time, which it isn't much other than, you plant it, you grow it. They eat fresh grass, they eat hay, and they eat pellets. I mean, I'm freaking out at how easy it is so far, knock on wood, so far to doing the rabbits. But come September, all the young does that I have are going to be ready to be bred. So come September, man, it's going to be some action here in the yard.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be kind of cool. It's going to be fun to watch.
Hi, Gary.
Hey, Gary, what's going on, Bulldog?
Hey, Gary. Well, hey,
Sheila, local seeds, I agree. I just wanted to acknowledge Sheila. I agree. Your local seeds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely local.
Mm-hmm.
You don't say the stuff you get from Walmart because you don't know where it got trucked in from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it could have been trucked in from
Ecuador.
And it's all probably GMO anyway. You don't want to save that stuff.
It could have been a finer seed.
Yeah. Oh, and something else too, Virginia and Backwoods. Several weeks back, I made a video for Rolling Homestead about my seeds and my seed vault, how I planted them and nothing came up. So when nothing came up after 2 weeks, I just left them there on the porch and I kept giving them a little bit of water, just pouring water on dirt. And do you know that half of them actually germinated about a month after I put them in the dirt?
I'll be dang.
The banana peppers germinated about 2 weeks ago, and some of the lettuce germinated. And I'm talking, they were in the dirt for a month, and they finally germinated. So all hope wasn't lost.
So they're a little better than you thought.
Yeah, they're still shit, but they're better. They're still shit. They just don't smell as bad as I thought they would. I mean, a month to germinate, that's like, that's an extra. That's if you got to wait a month for your seeds to germinate, and they're temperature, sensitive. If you plant and you germinate at the normal and you try, it's going to put you a month behind on harvest. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I mean, imagine that if you're going out and you're planting temperature sensitive stuff that has to go in the ground at a certain time, and it takes them a month to germinate.
Yeah, Angie W. Yes, that's what we've been talking about. Is it's not the stuff is there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. Is what a lot of people they did kind of use it as a scare tactic. A lot of people are starting to kind of put this together. That's kind of why what we were talking about earlier in this live stream was that we don't need to dismiss everything, but also don't take everything with a grain of salt. Or take it with a grain of salt. Just kind of be like, oh, okay, and be patient, and that's kind of why we push this prepping thing. When they were talking about somebody, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago was like, man, they're gonna shut us down and make us stay at home for 2 months, and I'm like, okay, so what's your point? Well, I mean, and the food shelves are empty, and I'm like, okay, what's your point? If you're supposed to be a prepper, if you're a prepper, this doesn't worry you. Now, I will say, obviously I'm worried about, after that amount of time, however much of a prepper you are, and depending on how much you do have, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? However long your food storage is or whatever it may be, but it's kind of like what Ghost, and Ghost brought it up and talked about it, and I talk about it as well, is that the things that we can control and the things that we can't. The things that I can control is every day that I have some extra money, I'm going to buy. Even there's sometimes, I'm going to be honest with you, you know, I can only buy 1 or 2 cans of food, you know, to put, and I stick it right in the back of my stuff. You know, I move everything forward and stick it back there, and that's 1 or 2 more cans of food I have. You know, some weeks I got some extra money, and I'm like, shoot, I'm gonna go buy 20 pounds of rice and 20 pounds of beans, and you know, or I'm gonna buy an extra Berkey filter. You know, I mean, so you know, it's that whole thought process of, you know, the you know, they were using it as a scare tactic of, oh my God, there's food shortages, beer porn. That's all it is, you know. And if you're a real prepper, you don't let that distract you. You know, you look at it and go, yeah, okay, you know, when my stuff runs out, you know, or when I start to get, you know, at a certain time frame of my stuff running out and I don't see anything happening better, okay, I'll start to deal with this situation. But until then, it's like, man, they talk about, oh man, we're going to be locked down for a month. Oh, okay. I don't, you know, okay, what's your point, you know?
Hmm.
And so, yeah, and so now we're starting to see that it's not that it's not available, it's the logistics. It's people won't go to work because some are scared, some are getting extra money, so they don't want to go to work because they make more money sitting at home, you know? So,
I
yeah,
mean, it's as much brain. It's brain warfare. I mean, look, number one, and everybody listen to me real close. Number one, ain't nobody make me do anything. They can ask me to do some stuff. I might do it. I might not. And then we pick it up a notch and we go from there. But, you know, I ain't never stopped doing what I normally do from day one from a year and a half ago. You know, do I wear the thing because they asked me to? You know what? Yeah, sometimes I do. And you know what? I really don't mind it because I don't like people that much. So not having to see facial expressions and not having to see all these ugly people at Walmart when I'm shopping, I don't really mind it that much. And
Yeah.
it stops a lot of the unnecessary conversation too. I really don't mind. It's not that big of a deal. Uh, Honestly, I don't. You know, some people get offensive about it, and that's cool. That's all you. I don't really care. It's not that big of a deal. If I need to go do something, I'm going to go do it. Um, you know, a mandate is not a law. Uh, it is what it is. They can say, "Hey, you need to stay home." Yeah, well, you need to get the fuck out of my face. All right, I'm going to go do what I'm going to go do. And if that you have a problem for that, and you feel like there's a legal reason, you can come at me for it. Bring it. We'll go to the next level. It is what it is. But you know, there's the mind game stuff and the food shortages. Food shortage is a play on words. Okay. Do I believe there's actually going to be a shortage? Yes, I do. In the near future, I don't know. But here's the thing: if I go to the store and I want to get a gallon of milk and there isn't any milk, but it's in the back of the store and they haven't stocked it, guess what? Technically, to me, there's a food shortage on milk because I can't get that milk. Even though it's there, I can't get it. So it's just a play on words. You know, if you go there to get it at 2 p.m. and they don't stock until 3, well, there's a shortage for you. But that doesn't mean the stuff isn't there. You just picked the wrong time of the day or they're stocking it a different time of the day.
Before they opened up this cost saver down here, and we didn't have any choice but to shop at Wally World unless we went, you know, to a long drive to another town. I would wait until, you know, when ours was open 24 hours. You know, they were open for 24 hours every day. I'd wait till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and set my alarm and wake up, and that's when I would go, just because I wanted to avoid the people. So,
Yep.
you know, being on here with all you guys, and even when there's 6, 7, 8, 9 people on the panel, you know, and everything, I mean, I'm cool with that. I enjoy the crap out of it, man. But in general, just going out in public, I don't meet a stranger ever, but at the same time, I'm just as good if there is one person in the store. You know, I like it better. You know, I even reserve my fishing times a lot of times till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning because there's nobody out there. I don't have to deal with nobody.
Right.
You know, and I don't, this whole ordeal has been going through the last 16, 18 months. You know, it's been a play on emotions, a play on words, and it's been a fear porn breeding ground, you know, for a bunch of stuff. And people, they take it literally. You know, is there something out there that's making people not feel good? Yeah. Am I worried about getting it? Yeah. You know what? Growing up, I was also worried I might catch herpes or something, but it didn't stop me. It didn't stop me from, you know, being me.
Right.
You know, it is what it is. You know, live your life. If you live your life in fear, you're not really living. You know, so what's the point in that? What's going to happen is going to happen. I'm not saying go be stupid. You know, I'm not going to go up into a crowd of 500 people that I don't know and walk around and kiss and hug people and breathe them in the face. No, man. Look, before this stuff even started, I stayed at least 6 feet away because I don't like people.
But Ghost, wait a minute. Now that you've kind of gotten to know me, would you, if I met you, would you kiss and hug me?
Would you let me drive your lawnmower?
I couldn't resist that one, Ghost. I mean, actually, yeah, I would. So, I mean,
bring a creamy Jif. He'll do more than that.
Ooh.
Angie, I wanted to address your gardening comment. Don't give up, girl. You said you had tried and failed. You know, I have tried and failed so many times. Just do it again. Don't give up. Find out what works for you. Experiment with different ways to grow. For me, it's about pests. I have to figure out the pests. You know, just keep trying. Don't give up. Never give up.
Every time you fail, you learn.
That's right.
What you should worry about is people that have never tried to grow anything, but they have a vault full of seeds that they're going to plant at the end of the world and think they're going to be a master gardener. Those are the ones you need to worry about. Those are the ones you might want to smack in the back of the head and say, what's wrong with you? If you've got a seed vault, if you plan on growing food, grow it now. Try it now. See if you can do it. It's not like you're wasting your supplies, but you can harvest seeds from everything you grow. Grow it now. Look at my garden. It's a complete disaster, but I'm still making food. I've made several mistakes. I've corrected some of them. Some of them I can't. I just lost all my hydroponic tomatoes, and I don't know why. But I'll change the way I do it next time, and this mistake won't happen again. You know, that's the only way you learn is to fail.
Yep. And also with seeds, cut a cucumber.
Hold Is that dog bark on here?
It's not on my side.
Hang on, I'll be back in a second.
Regarding seeds and farmers markets, because we know those grow locally to your local farmers market, cut those vegetables in half. You can dig seeds out of everything. Well, within reason, you know, not everything, but cut your cucumbers, your zucchini, your peppers, melons, pumpkins, anything like that, and dig them out, dry them out, and save them. And that's basically free. You will have maybe made a purchase at the farmer's market, come home, reserve. You know how many seeds you get out of one zucchini or one melon? 50, maybe? You know? Absolutely. Set those aside.
I got a bag that I saved from that massive cantaloupe. I've probably got maybe 70 or 80 seeds in there, and I only saved maybe a fourth of the seeds that were in that melon just because I'll never plant that many before they go bad. All I need is a couple of good seeds, and then I'll get more seeds. They give back. They give what you, I mean, they regenerate. That's the thing. You can take one seed and turn it into a lifetime worth of tomatoes if you do it right.
That's right. 100%. 100%. That's where the idea of heirloom seeds.
Yeah, definitely, Angie. Keep trying. I mean, look, every time, trust me, I've had so many failures. I mean, go back and look at my videos. But then again, I did a combat garden, all in containers, all mobile, all movable. I don't plan on stopping growing. I plan on growing year round in my basement this winter. If I got to carry them in and out of the house to get some sunshine during the day, that's exactly what I'll do. Just to see if it's feasible, if it works, and how labor intensive it is to get some nutrition from these plants. When you tell me I can't grow shit in the wintertime, guess what? I'm planting a winter garden because you just told me I couldn't.
Figure it out.
That's just the way I am. Really? I can't?
Good night, redneck.
You know, hold my beer. Watch this. I'm going to grow all year. You know, I've got some grow lights. And I've got some grow lights, you know, even if it's just lettuce, even if I can just grow enough leafy greens to feed the rabbits, I'm completely happy because the rabbits is definitely going to be free food, you know, and I know they love collard greens. I know they love lettuce. They love cabbage. They love the carrots. You know, and it's the great thing too, but I'm getting multiple uses. Okay. My dog loves carrots. He gets a carrot every day. That's his snack. You know, he loves it. Plus, it's good for their teeth because it helps clean their teeth. You know, instead of the bullshit ones you get at the store that are actually bad for your dog, give him a damn carrot. Dogs love carrots. He loves carrots. He loves green beans. Um, but here's the great part.
Mhm.
So do the rabbits, and the rabbits love the carrot tops, which is the green stuff. Here's the cool part: when you cut that
Yep.
part off of the carrot, go plant it. It won't grow you another carrot, but it'll
Yep.
grow you a whole bunch more carrot tops that you can feed the rabbit.
It'll grow fronds all
Feed
day.
the rabbit.
Yeah,
Free food.
100%.
It's like the
Mhm.
celery. I had a stick of celery that I fed them, or a whole bunch of celery that I fed them last week. I give them fresh celery, fresh lettuce, you know, on a daily basis. Um, you know, I pulled all the celery stalks off. It was just a stub at the bottom where the roots used to be. And I walked over to one of my okra plants that's planted in the rabbit manure. I shoved it in there and I watered it, and it's growing right now. It's probably an inch and a half, 2 inches tall. The first
Yep.
celery coming back up. Celery doesn't die, people.
No,
Unless
celery will come back. Yep.
celery I made that mistake in my aquaponics system. I planted 6 of them, celery plants, and they literally took over. Like, because there's only so many things that you can do with celery other than
Right.
other than selling it, other than giving it to Zach with his peanut butter. I mean, there's only so much stuff celery for, you know, your stews and stuff like that. So I had
Yeah.
celery literally coming out of my ass. But it was so cool. I just walked down the back porch with a knife. I cut me off a couple sprigs of celery, go in there and make a stew, whatever I'm doing.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, this stuff won't die. Every time I cut some off, it grows another one.
Yep.
And I pulled 5 of them out just because one celery plant gave me unlimited celery. I couldn't eat that much.
You can do the same with most lettuces as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, the leaf lettuces. Yeah.
Yep.
Like the butter crunch is, and like, doesn't the bok choy that way too?
It did. You know what it did on me? It grew and then it bolted and seeded.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that the seed might be useful, but it did not work for long.
Right.
It could have
Yeah, I
just
know.
been season, though. You know.
I planted spinach, kale, Swiss chard, and celery for the rabbits, and I planted 4 butter crunch for the rabbits, and I'm fixing to plant some more collard greens. I'm gonna do several collard plants because they love collard greens. Oh my goodness! I think that's one of the reasons why all my rabbits were born healthy, because I fed Zah strict. She was getting at least 1, maybe 2 leaves, big leaves of celery collards every day. You know, every single baby rabbit was fat and happy. So, and I mean,
Really
it's dirt cheap, and that's why I say I'm growing it for the rabbits. I can also pull a leaf off and eat it myself. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I have to tell y'all, I know it's gonna sound mean, but I sure do love my airsoft rifle. Um,
Oh
well,
no.
we got this. So we got this little Chihuahua over here next door that they leave it outside, and because I have one of I on my two on my gates, or my, you know, my front fences here that separate my front yard and backyard, I have the picket fence, you know, and so I heard the dog barking, but it sounded like it was in my backyard, and that's why I couldn't tell, and that's why I asked, is this on the, you know, is that one of y'all's dogs barking, or is it, you know? And once I realized it was outside, I went out there, and he had squeezed through that picket fence and was barking at my chickens,
Right.
you know, like barking at them. And so I'll just say that that airsoft has a full auto. Let's just say he made a lot of noise getting out of that fence. But
I'm glad he made it.
he probably won't come back.
Yeah.
I did not know that, Hat Creek. It takes
That's
more
a true
calories to
statement.
get off of celery than is actually in the celery. I believe that. I'm not a
Yeah.
big celery.
Celery is considered a negative calorie food. It is literally negative calories because the digestion and chewing of it is more energy than you derive from the
Yeah.
food.
That makes sense. I know the
Yep.
rabbits, but
Negative
I
calorie.
love it for the rabbits because what I'll do is I'll take carrots, celery, and I take all the watermelon rinds and all the cantaloupe rinds that we eat, and I freeze them. And then I take them out there to the rabbits on a hot day, and I put that frozen stuff in there, and they absolutely love it. And the cool part about celery, it's got a really high water content to it, so it's like they tear that stuff up.
Yeah, Jeremy Sullivan, don't say it backwards. You know what happened to Nurse. The cool thing about where I live versus where he lives is we actually have a law on the books. It is an active law that if you have any kind of, like animals, farm animals or anything like that, and even if it's a neighbor's dog, if something is presenting harm to them, you can actually legally take them out of existence, and no repercussions can come upon you because of that.
So you have to stand your ground law for
Chihuahuas,
for your livestock and stuff. Yeah, it's an active law. So because I do have a fenced in yard, plus my animals are in a cage, and the dog was standing there and actually was digging at the ground a little bit, and I can show where the dog was digging a little bit, and I am clearly in my rights to do what I did, which I could have took something else out there, but I chose to just sting his butt and move him along because I don't want to harm anything, man. I really don't.
Right.
He's just doing, that's what dogs do, man. So I just stung his butt a little bit. Yeah, I gave him a little encouragement not to come back.
Right. It was a motivational speech.
Right. It is a motivational speech. I love it. Perfect. Yeah, we had a little motivational talk out there a while ago.
That's right.
Speaking Chihuahua.
I don't know if y'all couldn't hear him or not, but he actually was out there. He started crowing just a minute ago.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get rid of them roosters, man. I've tried to give them away to my neighbors over there a couple of times, and they keep saying yeah, but then they never come get it, and I'm like, I'm tired of feeding them jokers, man. I'm
in the pot.
I was fixing to say I may be having some chicken noodle soup and some fried chicken, and because they're about big enough, you could make 2 or 3 dishes off them jokers.
Right. How many pounds?
Hold on a minute. Is he seriously back?
Yeah,
I hear something.
I heard that time. Yeah, and that sounds like a Chihuahua. He ain't scared of you, Backwoods.
He's fixing to get the next motivational speech will be with a little more authority, if you know what I mean.
A little come to Jesus moment.
Well, I actually do have one of them breakover pellet rifles. They get a little that's a little more serious talk when I break that out.
Thing about a Chihuahua is they are tiny, but they think they're bigger than a Great Dane. I had a Chihuahua. He was only 4 pounds, and he thought he had the biggest dick on the block. He was convinced of it. They are tiny, but man, they've got that complex. Good night, Sheila.
All right, Sheila. Well, apparently Backwoods is not the Chihuahua whisperer because he did not.
Not yet.
You need to whisper.
No, I ain't even gonna say that. Never mind.
You need to cuss at him in Spanish.
I'll be quiet.
I remember the first time I went to play paintball. Uh-oh. He's going back out. Gotta go talk to the Chihuahua. This could get ugly.
Oh my God. It can only get so ugly.
True. He comes running back in here with scratches all over his face. You know, that Chihuahua took it to his ass.
They are kind of mean.
Yes, they are.
My great-grandmother had one, and it fit her because she was a very mean woman. Loved it, though. So salty, yeah. You love it.
We will hear it this time.
That's a good one. Rock salt and the double barreled. That's a good one.
That's what I used to use for coyotes.
Really? That'll put a sting on it, huh?
You just open up the top of the shotgun shell. I'd use birdshot. I'd open up the top of the shotgun shell, and you can take rock salt and pour in there with it. Dump some of the shell out, put rock salt in there. Another favorite was just cayenne pepper.
Really?
Take the pepper, shake it in there, or the powder, or you could do hot sauce. You shake it in there and seal it back up with candle wax. Oh yeah, it'll give them something to think about.
Oh, I was going to say the cayenne pepper, you don't want to be standing upwind, but you're saying you actually stabilized it with a little wax.
Yeah, we just dump out all the shot and put rock salt in there, cayenne pepper flakes, whatever. Just get creative. I don't know if it actually did anything. It may have just like burned up. But they were fun to make.
Yeah, no doubt. How'd that go?
He's
did you find
he's not in my yard. He's over at the edge of the fence over there in the back corner, and he was barking at the fence, or barking from the other side of the fence. So I still encouraged him a little more. He probably sit over there and bark a little bit because they think they're tough, But he's staying on his side of the fence now. He didn't come back in the yard. So the motivational speech is working. He just I do wish I had I could stream yard on my phone, man. It just will not let me do it. I've tried it several times. I'd love to take it out there. I don't know, Ghost might kick me off if I went out there and started shooting it.
How have you not been able to do StreamYard on your phone? It's pretty easy.
No, when I click on to StreamYard, as soon as I click on StreamYard, my service completely goes out, and it just sits there and spins. It will not let me on a panel. I've tried it several times.
Now I've never logged on to StreamYard through my phone. What I do is I hit the web search bar and I type in the HTTPS of stream, and then I hit go and it loads right up.
Well, I'm talking about like Hoot Owl, he's probably cussing me on
take your phone, Backwoods, take your phone and type in the email that I sent you. Type that into the search bar and see if it won't pull it up on your phone.
Hey, TJ Preps, what's up, sis?
Okay, how you doing?
Hi, TJ. That's hilarious.
TJ, I was actually meaning to reach out to you through email and see if you would be interested in doing the Prepper Summit here in the next few weeks. I've got Pinball just did it. Rudy's going to do it. Hopefully next month, and the Angry Pepper is doing it in October. So hopefully I can find a time for you to do it, and you can give me suggestions on somebody that you want to have on the panel with you that works really good together for the Q&A if you want to do it. But I'll shoot you an email.
Yeah, you had originally asked me something about it, Ghost, and I was going to say that, get some of these other people that I'm on here with you like once a week, man, already. And we already discuss a lot of this stuff. So, just go ahead and make sure, like TJ, if she wants to come up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I'm also trying to find people in like the two that I have on the panel. I want them to be on like different parts of the country or even different parts of the world to get like, opposing views and opposing aspects of the questions, which seems to work out pretty good. I mean, last night they were both from the West Coast, but one of them was, in LA and the other one was up in the Pacific Northwest. So there was a good opposing views.
Right.
Still a 1,500-mile difference.
Well, I'm just offering that. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
I got you.
Yeah, I mean, we do these scenarios and this kind of stuff, and hell, I pop on your cannon sessions, and I ain't even cannon, So, yeah, I mean, just let's.
Well, you kind of got a point though, because I mean, if I had you on the panel and I was asking you these questions, everybody in the chat already knows what you're going to say because you've already said it before.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, try to reserve them spots for people like TJ and some of these other great YouTubers, and yeah. I mean, cause like, dude, I'm gonna tell you the 101 and Rip Curl, man, that was phenomenal, dude. That was a
Yep.
hell of a stream,
That
dude.
show last night was definitely the funnest, and I think the best show that I've done. Because here's the crazy part: the amount of people watching kept climbing. Even when I said goodnight, we're leaving, the numbers just still kept going up.
Yeah.
And then after we ended the show, we still went on for another hour and a half, 2 hours, and the numbers stayed, up there. So usually you'll get like the numbers will spike, in the middle, and then they start dropping off. That show last night, they just kept going up and up and up. I mean, they stayed up.
Yeah. Shift, we'll see you, brother. Thank you for popping on, hanging out.
Night shift.
Have a good one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go before too much longer. I do got to start them properties tomorrow. I've got to be at my first one around 9 in the morning, which ain't too bad,
Yeah.
Usually if I can get about 4 or 5 hours, man, I'm good. I'm lucky if I get 4 or 5 hours sometimes. But then I end up like I did today and taking a nap and waking up with slobber on my chin. It's like, what happened? Where am I at?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have been going for exactly 3 hours. So that's a pretty good time frame. So I guess we can go ahead and unless anybody's got like a really good question, keep us motivated. Talking. Anybody got anything to add for us?
Yeah, TJ didn't ever answer if she wanted to hop up for a minute or not.
Might have just been popping in to show support and say hello.
Right.
Little thumbs up. Well, I agree.
Yeah.
The summit was awesome last night. Rip and 101 had a great chemistry, like you said. It was really good.
Yes.
A great show.
Yeah, it was. It was a really, really good show. I was very happy with the outcome.
That was very, very, very good, man. I was very impressed with it.
It was good. I got him out of left field with that question. If you could go back in time 10 years and you could tell yourself one sentence, just one sentence, what would you say?
Right.
Oh, that's all right, TJ.
Much love, girl.
We completely understand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's been busy. I've been watching some of her videos. I ain't been commenting on a lot just because I'm trying to do stuff and just listening to stuff. And I'll put 2 or 3 things on a playlist, and just let them play. And when I'm doing stuff, and she's been really busy clearing out some stuff. And yeah.
Been 3 hours. I guess we'll go ahead and call it a night and wrap this one up. I want to thank Backwoods as usual for coming up here and helping me out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Virginia, for coming up and hanging out with us. I appreciate that. I want to thank everybody in the chat for hanging out with us. You guys are awesome as always. Now, if you guys have any scenarios you want to email that we can rip up, it's wwgdquestions@gmail. wwgdquestions@gmail, and we will have fun doing some more scenarios. Other than that, what do you got coming up, Backwoods? Anything?
No, not really. Just a normal. You'll see me on a live stream here or there. That's why I told you. When you asked me about switching back and forth on channels, I was like, I mean, I like doing videos and stuff on my channel, and I'm just, it doesn't. I'm not. I don't know. It's weird because I love being on live streams, but I'm just not really that crazy about doing live streams on my own. You know what I mean? Yeah. I guess it's kind of weird.
Hey,
What's up, North?
What's going on, Sean? It's I like doing the shows, the stream. I mean, they're like really, really stressful. Like I literally get butterflies every time I hit the go live button.
Oh.
But when you do something like last night, TJ will be live tomorrow at 5 p.m. You guys go check that out.
Cool.
Yeah, but when you do a show or you do a stream and it turns out like the one last night, it's like motivational. It's like, all right, that felt really, really good. That was like so it kind of keeps it going. But like I've got, let's see, this week I'm going to be working on videos, working on the garden, working on the rabbitry, working on my shelving in the basement, and then obviously Saturday we are canning. We don't know what we're canning yet. The poll, I'm gonna let the poll run till Wednesday, and that'll give everybody, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to get the stuff. But it's either gonna be, it looks like sloppy joes, brats, or smoked sausage, or meatballs. Looks like one of those three is gonna pull it out. Not sure yet. I know Milkmaid wants to do the meatballs. It's good for me either way, but we'll see what happens.
She just wants to be able to say meatballs. That's all it is.
Oh, I do too. I only want that to win so we can talk about it.
I know, right? So
I trust in God.
Saturday is the canning live stream, and then Sunday is another episode of Prep Rally, and then the following Saturday will be another episode of the Prepper Summit. So
want to say hi to Trust in God real quick. I saw him.
Hey, Trust. All right. Well, other than that, if you guys don't have anything else for me, I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight and thank everybody for coming. I appreciate it. Hopefully, we will see you here next week. Hopefully, we'll see you this Saturday. Can some meatballs or sausage or something from Emily.
Prep every chance you get, guys. Prep every chance you get.
Definitely.
If it's 1 can of 50-cent green beans, prep every chance you get.
Yep.
All right, you guys have a good night.
Fun.
You guys have a good night. We are shutting her down.